said one of the big storylines you've seen without a doubt is the Blues get it in front. Broberg tucks it in! Like you put that papoose around a newborn baby. 5-0 Blues. 3:28 to go, second period.
That was last night as the Blues took down the Ottawa Senators 7-1. I just did the cough button completely incorrect there. That's fine. We're moving past it. The voice is actually starting to sound a little bit stronger, and I got rid of the... No, yeah, it's not as good, but it's getting back. The glasses are gone as well. He's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. We've got Graham Francis back in our studios. We are broadcasting here from our Centene studios, the ENB Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Last night, that was Chris Kerber on the call, as you heard it right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Philip Broberg with 2 goals, a 3-point night as the Blues take down the Ottawa Senators 7-1. They got their first win, T-Bone. There we go. Now nobody needs to panic anymore. They won a game. We don't have to act like 0-4 is bad in preseason.
I was convinced there for a minute they wouldn't win a game.
You know what? And if they didn't, I think people would seriously be panicking. But you don't have to worry about it. They spanked the Ottawa Senators. Now, albeit it's not that great of a roster that they sent, but still, the Blues looked great. And part of the reason they looked great last night, T-Bone, was because the defensemen were involved in 5 of the 7 goals. They picked up a point in 5 of the 7 goals. The only 2 that they didn't was Matthew Joseph's breakaway and then the last goal that Dylan Holloway scored. And if you want to be real specific with it, Logan Mailloux had a assist in that play. It just didn't show up on the score sheet. But I'm watching Broberg score that goal that you just heard, and then the other one like 20 seconds later. I'm watching Falk pick up a point. I'm watching Parayko and Cam Fowler all pick up points. And I'm thinking to myself, this has to be one of the best groups of defensemen the Blues have had in a long time. And Joey and I talked about this on postgame last night. I'm ready to say some crazy things about this Blues defensive core, so much so that I think they can do something this season that has never been done in Blues franchise history. I do believe that the Blues defense are going to be heavily involved with the offensive production this season. I don't know what it's going to look like in terms of high point production, or do you see guys get double-digit goals on the defensive side? But what I am willing to say is I think you've got a lot of guys who are going to generate points. I think Broberg, Fowler, and Parayko all can be 40 or more point scorers this season with the Blues. Because how much Jim Montgomery wants them to be involved in the offensive zone, jump up into rush. Logan Mailloux's assist, he was in the middle of a 3-on-2 that started the play with Robert Thomas and Pavel Buchnevich. Broberg tucking the puck in. Parayko nearly had a wraparound goal. These defensemen aren't shy in the offensive zone. And whether it's at even strength or power play, I do believe the defensemen are going to have a heavy impact this season. And I looked back through it because I was curious. The last time that the Blues have had 3 defensemen with 40 or more points, it's never happened in franchise history. They've had guys who have had 2 players with 40 or more points. They've had 2 players, one with 50, one with 40. They've never had 3 defensemen with 40 or more points. And I think that happens this season with the Blues defense.
Yeah, it's fun to think about because I'm kind of with you. The way that they've been playing in the preseason on top of what we saw from last year, I'm excited to see what this Blues D-line does because they are going to get more into the rush. And you really saw that when Jim Montgomery took over for the team last year when Drew Bannister was let go. But, I mean, you look at Philip Broberg, and I think he's really the guy that probably determines if they can get to this mark.
Yeah.
Because Cam Fowler had 36 points in 51 games. If he's able to sustain that from last season and plays a full 82 games this year with the Blues, he should be able to get to that 40-point mark. You mentioned Colton Parayko. He had 36 last year, but he also missed a couple of games with that knee injury. He would have gotten there had he stayed healthy all season long. And then I look at Philip Broberg, who missed some games, ended up with 29 points, was like on pace for a little bit below that 40-point mark. He's the guy for me that I look at and go, man, what is the ceiling for his offense this season? Because last year it was really like 2 spurts that you saw that was really impressive. Got off to the hot start when he the first couple of games of the season. Then he got hurt, and then there was a little bit of, okay, looks like he's just trying to get his sea legs back with him, you know. And then he went back through another little stretch there towards the end of the regular season. But last year he had 8 goals, 21 assists. I think he's a guy that can really creep up there and add more to that point total as well. 40 will be a lot, but I think it's definitely in the range of outcomes for him to where, like, it sounds a little outrageous, 3 guys getting 40 points. Like, I would bet it doesn't happen. But I can kind of see the vision of it, right? Like, and I don't think it's too outrageous to say, because these guys should be up in the rush a little bit more. One thing that I do wonder about is, will Fowler and Parayko be able to do what they did last year?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get to this yesterday on the show, but there was an article on ESPN, top regression candidates for the NHL this season. And I'm not saying these guys are going to regress, but if I had to pick like two guys that I would say, hey, who could have a regression season, not in a like super bad way, but just the point total comes down, Fowler and Parayko are the two guys that I would circle.
Yeah, and I mean, it is very realistic. Like, I don't know what could happen with Cam Fowler. I mean, we saw him just go on a tear last year, but what does it look like now, another season older? Colton Parayko putting up 15 goals, or nearly 15 goals. If he doesn't get injured, we're talking about 40 or more points. Regression is very possible, but the ceiling for all of these guys, it is the most offensive gifted group of defensemen that I think the Blues have ever had. You've got 6 guys that can get up in the rush, always get shots on goal. Joey and I were talking last night about Tyler Tucker keeping things simple and just putting pucks on net. I think that's going to benefit Logan Mailloux, who's got an offensive side. But Jim Montgomery wants this, and that's why I'm really wondering how this defense is going to be involved. Because, look, what you haven't had in years past, when you had, those stretches with Torrey Krug and Justin Falk after Alex Pietrangelo, you just didn't have the finishers on the team. After they moved on from Tarasenko and Perron and O'Reilly, you just lost all those finishers. Now, you've got 2, maybe 3 lines of guys who can finish if the defensemen get pucks on net. Again, it might be outlandish to say the last time it happened in the NHL was 2022-2023. Edmonton did it. They had 3 guys with 40 or more points on the blue line. That team also scored the most goals in the National Hockey League. That might be what needs to happen. And I don't know if the Blues are going to be that this season. But you're absolutely correct, T-Bone, in terms of Broberg. Broberg is who lifts this ceiling, because Fowler's playing number 1 power play minutes. He's going to get those opportunities. Parayko is going to be playing the most minutes at even strength. He's going to get those opportunities. And then you've got Falk, who's playing the 2nd power play. I think he'll get a chance for it. He had 38 last year, but Broberg's the one that makes this engine go, because watching him do a wraparound goal on Tuesday, watching him last night do that just dance move around the goaltender and tuck the puck in, you've got a group of offensively gifted defensemen that raises the ceiling for this Blues season.
One thing that does, I don't know if it is a worry, but the more that you get these guys up in the rush, then the more likely it is it comes back the other way.
Yep.
And a little bit of a odd man rush situation.
You're doing some good math there, T-Bone.
Yeah, thank you. Math was my strong suit.
The 5 guys you have up there means you don't have as many on the back end. It is a concern, though.
And you've brought up, at least we've kind of talked about it, and again, I wouldn't read too much into it because this was really the first time we've seen their NHL lineup all together. But you've said that the defensive structure so far in preseason hasn't looked as clean.
Yeah.
And that is one thing to where at some point, if that continues to be an issue in the regular season and it gets attributed to, hey, our defensemen are getting too aggressive, then you have to scale that back. And then that's another thing that can factor into where they're not going to get to what we're talking about.
Yeah, and like Montgomery has said a lot of times in these last couple of post games, like, we're not playing 60 minutes and there's still some issues in our own end. There were some turnovers last night. I think that gets cleaned up the further you get into the season, because right now it's just you haven't been together. But I will say, like last night, if not for Jordan Binnington, I think the Blues aren't up 3-0. I mean, Binnington made some miraculous saves because the Blues were turning the puck over in their own end. So that remains to be seen. I don't know what that's going to look like once we hit the regular season. But as is now, yeah, the more involved you are offensively, the better you should be on the back end in terms of recoveries if you jump into the offensive zone. So that's the defensive side of things. On the offensive side of things from last night, T-Bone, and with Tanner Hendricks and Alex Ferrario, the Blues, of course, score 7 goals. Robert Thomas's line is a big chunk of it. Matthew Joseph scores that goal. The breakaway, the first one that got this game started last night, and he was set up by Braden Shen and Nick Bukestad. I think I'm officially ready to announce this roster. Now, the Blues will totally make me look like an idiot 48 hours from now when they announce this roster, but watching Matthew Joseph play last night, it's pretty certain that he deserves to be on this roster. Oscar Sundqvist, in my opinion, is going to be the 4th-line center because Bukestad looked so good on the right wing last night playing with Braden Shen and when Jake Neighbors is there. Neighbors and Torovchenko are going to be in the lineup, which makes Joseph probably your 13th forward. And I know people aren't going to like this, and believe me, I'm getting sick of talking about it, but I think it's Milan Lucic over Texier. I would expect both to play in the game on Saturday, But again, Lucic doesn't look like he's the fleetest of foot out there on the ice. He didn't hit anybody last night, but it's just the presence he provides. He allows other guys to do things that they might not be able to do. And who plays more of a fourth line role? Milan Lucic or Alex Texier? I don't think Texier is a fourth line player. So again, things can change, but I think your roster, in my opinion, for October 9th is going to be Joseph and Milan Lucic with Texier potentially going through waivers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think what you said there is the most important part was Texier's probably not or shouldn't be a fourth liner. And you look at Lucic, I mean, he was fine last night. I don't think he was anything that's like going to break glass. You're right. Didn't really throw the body around much last night, but he's predictable, right? And I think that's the one thing that's been the negative on Alexander Texier. They have no idea what they can expect from Texier when he's on the ice. And that's even come into the preseason this year, right? Like, he hasn't run away. I think if the Blues were on Truth Serum, I think they would have said, if you had, hey, predict what your roster is going to look like as we enter training camp, my guess is they would have said, hey, Texier will at least be on the opening night roster. Maybe we do some kind of manipulation with Lucic and, extend the PTO down to the AHL and whatnot. But I think they would have said, hey, our expectation is Texier will be on this roster opening night. But Texier had to make sure that he could earn that spot. And Texier's done nothing impressive in camp, right? Mm-hmm. He hasn't been noticeable at the times that we've been out here at practice, in my opinion. He hasn't been noticeable in preseason games, and he's not predictable. And when we talk about the fourth line, Kerb said this yesterday, it's like the best buzzword for a head coach, right? What do they want? They want a guy that's going to be predictable, that they know what he's going to do and that he's going to live up to his role. And maybe Lucic can't play in the NHL. We find that out in 10 games, right, in the regular season. And then they move on and they bring somebody else up or they claim somebody off of waivers. But for right now, he looks like he's going to lock himself into this roster spot.
And so, again, we'll find out. My expectation is you'll see some other roster moves, like guys brought back up for the game tomorrow against the Blackhawks, which you'll hear right here on 101 ESPN. Starts at 6 o'clock. But Sunday, probably for sure Monday, but maybe Sunday, those final rosters will be due from the Blues, and you'll see who makes the official roster. But again, if you missed it, I'm ready to say some wild things about the Blues. This defensive group might be one of the more offensive gifted groups in the National Hockey League this season. We'll talk more Blues with Mike McKenna coming up at 12 o'clock. He's going to join us here at Centene in our EMB Granite studios. We've got the YouTube conversation over at 101 ESPN STL. The Graveyard Chat is lively, so you could jump in there. Also, our Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we are going to get into the Thursday night football game last night, because I don't know how in the hell the 49ers continue to do this, but that's in 15. Coming up next, Katie Wu dropped a new article talking about Chaim already making waves within the Cardinals organization in terms of sticking to their words. What does it mean? We'll get into that next here on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Chaim and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Along with Tanner Hendrickson and Graham Francis, who's back in our studios, I'm Alex Ferrario as we are live here at the E&B Granite Studios out at the Centene Community Ice Center. So Katie Woo, our Cardinals insider for The Athletic, right before the show started today, dropped this new piece. Cardinals to add to professional scouting department, retain current staff. Might sound like a nothing burger. It's like, okay, so they're adding more people to their staff. What does that mean? Well, for what Tanner and I looked at each other, and when we read this article, it said they're backing what they told us in that press conference, which is the first sign of good if you're a fan. Like, you want to know that they're going to start putting their their words into action. Well, here it is. So this was from the piece by Katie Woo, and you should check this out over at The Athletic. Quote, we're still working through things, but I would like, hope, and expect that our senior folks will all go forward with us, Bloom said. I do anticipate that we will have some additions to the front office group. When and in what roles, I'm not ready to say that yet. I don't see it as either or. I don't think it can be, Bloom said. Right now in today's game, with the sophistication of the teams we're competing against, if we're not using a rigorous and systematic method to help our process in any area, then we're probably going to get beat because we're not leveraging the best technology. But at the same time, you want experts to use their knowledge and instincts to help you make better decisions. Now, you fast forward down a little bit at the bottom of this article, and this was the end of it. As the Cardinals aim for perennial contention, they know they'll need to invest heavily in their team's infrastructure. Ownership is aware its spending habits must change, and Chairman Bill DeWitt Jr. has pledged to do as much. Quote, we are going to provide the resources for Bloom to build what he's talking about building. That's what DeWitt said. And again, this is from Katie Woo's article of the Cardinals adding to their professional scouting department. T-Bone, again, I know this seems like a nothing burger for fans because all this is you don't see this. This is behind the scenes work. But to me, if you've got ownership saying, yeah, we're going to help Tim do whatever we need, they already had changed their minor league system this past year by adding a ton of instructors, and now they're adding more personnel to their staff. And in a market right now where it feels like a lot of teams are cutting from their staff, the Cardinals are trying to jump ahead. They're trying to get their behind-the-scenes stuff ready to go, and they're adding to their professional scouting department, which helps you evaluate talent. This is all Chaim putting his fingerprints now on the organization that needs assistance.
Yeah, and that quote that you read there from Bill DeWitt Jr. that he said at the press conference there about, hey, we're going to give the resources to Chaim and what he needs. This is that first action that we're talking about of, hey, they are doing what they're saying. Now, again, this is the first of what should be many steps of what they said at that press conference. But look, there's no denying it that they needed to get better in terms of evaluation, both when it comes to amateur scouting and also at pro scouting when it comes to evaluating talent from other organizations, because they've been okay at that. It hasn't been great. I think they did pretty well for the 2023 trade deadline. Like, Sponson was a part of that package that they got in return. So JC was involved in that. Roberse was in that. But you've really only gotten small returns on those pieces that have been acquired. Outside of that, there's been a lot of misses that we've talked about over the years under John Mozeliak. So I'm excited to see that they have made this move, according to Katie Woo, because it's them backing their words of trying to improve the infrastructure, because they look at this and say, hey, we don't get a second try at this if we screw this up, right? Mm-hmm. You're in a rebuild. You're getting whatever it is, 2 years for the fan base before they start to say, okay, now we want to see some results. You don't get to just go through this, miss on this, and then get a second rebuild. I'm not sure ownership will support that. So what is Chaim doing? He's making sure he's got the pieces that are necessary within the organization to help them evaluate talent so they can nail this on the first try.
Yeah, data, programming, projection models rule organizations, with many teams pivoting towards technology for evaluations rather than the traditional scouting method. That's in Katie's article. That's the old school method of having scouts that are out there. Now, Bloom is looking to advance what the scouting department has done. And what's the one thing that we've complained about for this Cardinals team? One, you're not evaluating guys properly, whether it's organizations outside or your own, and you're not developing them. Well, that's why you're adding more instructors to this. And again, if ownership is saying, look, we're going to back whatever Chaim Bloom wants to do, you're not going to see them go out there and sign Pete Alonso and give him a truckload of money. That's not what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to accomplish that long-term goal of being sustained successful. And to get there, you have to make sure the infrastructure is ready to go. You got to make sure the foundation of the house is sturdy enough so that you could build the house on it so it doesn't crumble. And that's where Chaim's trying to be aggressive right now, so that in 3 years, this system's in place. And then it's just a matter of making sure the players are the right players.
And I think they're doing the smart decision of balancing the eye test, which is what some of these new hires are going to be in this pro scouting department, while also running with what the models will tell you, right? I don't think these organizations that go just model heavy, I think you can miss some of that stuff with what the eye can tell you, right? And I think that is important that you have this balance. I don't think this is are you an analytics team or are you not? No, I think it's got to be both, and that's what Chaim's doing a good job here, it sounds like, of kind of working that fine line. The Cardinals have their model system that they've been using, and I think they're probably changing that. That's not been reported anywhere, but look at what they just did in the last draft with Liam Doyle with their first-round pick, right? That wasn't a pick that you were expecting John Mozeliak to make. He was the guy that was going after the Michael McGreevy's, the Cooper Jerpies of the world, more of the pitch to contact, sinker ball, or keep the ball on the ground, or just hey, we think that guy's a big leaguer. Not probably a high ceiling, but we know he's a big leaguer. You've really seen kind of that model change for the St. Louis Cardinals. So I think they're getting into this really good spot of trying to find this balance. And I saw someone on the text line saying something to the effect of, like, isn't this just them catching up to the league standards? Yes. And that is the first step of what's so important for them. They were so far behind that they've got to catch up on scouting in the minor league system before they can even try. And I said this the first day of the press conference for Chaim. He's got to somehow catch up while also catching up while baseball continues to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going to be very tough for him over the first couple of years here in St. Louis.
Yeah, but you can't get in front of baseball until you catch up with baseball. And they've made those strides starting this past season by just adding as many instructors as possible in their minor league system and updating the technology. And now you're making that next step. And this is why we talked yesterday about how much leeway is Chaim Bloom going to have. If you keep making moves like this to where people may not see it in their face, but you're adding people behind the scenes that are making what the fans see successful, that's where you start to get a little bit more grace. And that leads me to what we saw last night. We talked a little bit about it at the end of the show with the Yankees and Red Sox game. You had Cam I don't want to do this because I'm going to butcher Schlittler. I was going to pull up his name, so I made sure I didn't just butcher this. Cam Schlittler, my goodness. He's a 24-year-old pitcher who played 14 games or started 14 games at the major leagues this year for the Yankees. He went out there and shoved last night for them in the postseason. What was it? 8 innings that he went. He had 12 strikeouts, 18 swings and misses, gave up 5 hits, 0 walks, and 107 pitches. This guy was a 7th-round draft pick 3 years ago. He was in the minor leagues this year in AAA and AA to where the strikeout stuff was there. But it's not like you looked at his numbers and you're like, oh, damn, this guy's going to be a stud. It was like, yeah, okay, good. You've seen some of these numbers before of guys in the Cardinals minor league system. But that right there is what they were missing. They were missing those wild cards that come out of nowhere in a playoff series. And you're like, whoa, where did this guy come from? And he just completely changes the dynamic of your team. That's what you hope. Chaim Bloom adding more pieces to the front office in terms of the scouting department. That's what you hope they find. Because to be successful in the playoffs and build sustainable winners, you got to continue to churn out guys like Cam Schlittler. You can't go out there and just throw all of the money at the free agents like the Yankees did. They had Fried, they have Rodon, but you know what makes them different? Having a guy like Cam Schlittler who can go out there and perform.
Yeah, you got to have, and he's like their number 3 starter. Yeah. And there's a chance, like, we look back on him in like 5 years and go, whoa, that guy was better than like Max Fried or Carlos Rodon, who they started the first 2 games. But you got to have these high upside arms that have swing and miss stuff. Like, you look at him. He was the 7th-round draft pick in 2022. We've talked about Jacob Misiorowski was a 2nd-round pick that came from Crowder College. Never even heard of Crowder College until Misiorowski popped up. And then you look back to that 2023 run with the Diamondbacks. Man, remember the big star for them? They had really good pitching. The offense was great. Brandon Pfaadt became a postseason hero for him. Now, he's not really pieced it together, but he had the swing and miss stuff to where he could get hot for an October run. He was a 5th-round pick in 2020. Like, these are the kind of selections that they have to get better at. We've talked about this before. They've got to start finding more diamonds in the rough, and that is what Chaim Bloom's going to have to do, because when you start looking at pitching, yes, you have to hit on your top picks, right? Liam Doyle has to be a success for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's going to have to be a legitimate, probably top 3 pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. I'd argue top 2 for them to have a success there. they've also got to start finding guys in the later rounds that have some swing and miss stuff, that have some upside plays. And that is where they've got to get better at, because you need to be able to hit on your first round picks while also finding some steals later on in the draft.
Yeah. And so you hope that they have started that with the Liam Doyle drafting, and you hope that they continue to do that this offseason in terms of via trade. If they can go out there and make a move for a younger pitcher or a position player that can come in and make strides like this, or you find some diamond in the roughs throughout the draft, that's where you start to build that success and sustainability that we've been talking about. He's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. We'll get more into baseball a little bit later on in the 12 o'clock hour. Again, we got Mike McKenna coming up at 12 o'clock. Questions and answers, or really ask us anything on a Friday. That'll be coming up in about 15 minutes. So make sure you get us your questions, 314-399-9646. But coming up next, how in the hell do the 49ers continue to pull this off? And T-Bone's got some questions about Sean McVay's coaching decisions. We'll get into all of that next here on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Grant Francis here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Blues picked up their first win of preseason action, 7-1 over the Ottawa Senators. Philip Broberg had 2 goals in the game. The Blues will close out their preseason schedule tomorrow in Chicago as they take on the Blackhawks. It'll be a 5 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock puck drop right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Tonight on 101 ESPN, you can listen to some college football. It'll be BYU going up against West Virginia. It'll be a late one, 9 o'clock pregame, 9:30 kickoff for BYU and West Virginia. I'm Grant Francis. The Sports Center update's been driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Fedorko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
Does he make it? It doesn't look like it. Now the ball is out. When did it come out? The 49ers think they have stopped him short. They're already on the field. They're already celebrating.
Poor Al Michaels. That man was going through it last night by a lot of fans on social media that were watching the game. That wasn't the fumble that people were upset about. It was the fumble in the end zone that people were like, is Al Michaels even excited? It was a thrilling game last night as the 49ers took down T-Bone's Rams in overtime, a 26-23 final score as the Rams now 3-2 on the season and the Niners 4-1. And T-Bone, I'm watching this game last night. Halftime, it was 17-7. At one point, it was 14-0. And I'm sitting next to JR and Luke Korak, and I'm like, how the hell are they continuing to do this? Mac Jones had thrown for 2 touchdowns. The defense was just completely finding ways to eliminate Matt Stafford. Now the Rams pushed back. Then I'm thinking, okay, cool. The Cinderella story's done. The 49ers aren't going to win with this. Rams will close this out. But no way. 49ers continue to find ways without Brock Purdy, without 2 of their top wide receivers, without Bosa. This team continues to defy the odds. And now, I don't know if they're the best team in the NFC West. I still think it's the Rams, but it's hard to deny a 4-1 San Francisco 49ers team and what they've done already. And as they get some of their pieces back and the season moves on.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with them because they should not be 4-1 with all the injuries that they've had. Mac Jones looks incredible in this system.
Looks better than Purdy.
Yeah, he looks awesome in this Kyle Shanahan system. I don't know what to do with it because they're doing this, and last night especially. I mean, Kendrick Bourne was their best wide receiver. They had Sky Moore, I think, was taking kickoffs for him. It's a whole bunch of guys that we would talk about. Man, if that guy's in as your number 2 receiver, let alone your number 3 receiver, you're in trouble. And they've been great. I don't know what to make of them because I look at this and go, are they going to be significantly better when they get healthy? When they do have Purdy back under center, when they do get George Kittle, they end up getting Pearsall and Jennings back, and we'll see what Ayuk looks like coming off of a serious injury. Are they one of the best teams in the NFC? I don't want to believe it, but I don't know what to make of them since they've started 4-1, and it almost looks effortless so far because you're right. They dominated that first half against the LA Rams. They kind of let them back into that football game. Mm-hmm. And to be clear, I think the Rams should have won that game if it wasn't for Kyron Williams forgetting he has to hold on to the ball going across the goal line. Yeah, I don't know what to make of the 49ers.
I mean, so the best teams in the NFC, let's go through these real quick. Eagles are at the top of that list, correct?
Yes, I have questions about them, but yes.
And then the Lions.
Yeah, they belong up there.
And then I guess, is that where the question really comes into play? Because I don't know if I could put the 49ers. Now, I need to, but should I put the 49ers in the same conversation as the Detroit Lions, or I'm sorry, the Green Bay Packers?
I think so.
Do you put them in the same conversation as the Commanders? Now, albeit the Commanders are 2-2, but they are also without Jaden Daniels, who they're getting back this week. I mean, they've scored the same amount of points. They've allowed the same amount of points as the Commanders in the early portion of the season. I don't think it's that outlandish to say. The Buccaneers have been good, but the Buccaneers are banged up, and they're around the same record as the San Francisco 49ers. To me, it's one of those that I watch it and I say this can't continue, but every time I say that, then they find ways to win more and more and more. I'm not going to go out and say that I think the 49ers are a Super Bowl contender because I just don't buy it with Mac Jones. But I think they're a team that at least can make noise in the playoffs after what you saw against the Rams.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them a Super Bowl contender either, but the only reason I'm not willing to say this is because I just don't know what they look like when they're completely healthy.
Yeah.
And, like, you look at who they've beaten. Now, the Rams is an impressive win. Last week they lose to the Jaguars while they have Purdy in that game. But the Jags are, like, a solid team. And then the teams they've beaten with Mac Jones at the Saints versus the Cardinals. So, like, the Saints suck. The Cardinals, I think the Cardinals are bad, too, if we're being honest.
They do.
So, like, it's not like they've gone through a gauntlet of a schedule with Mac Jones at quarterback, but they are surviving through it. And it makes me wonder, okay, what do they look like when they have all their pieces? I agree. I'm not willing to call them a Super Bowl contender, but I think there's only two teams ahead of them right now that I look at in the NFC and go, yeah, Lions definitively better, I would say. Eagles definitively better. And then I think they're kind of in that tie in that muddy middle for that third spot right now because I think Rams are up there with them, but they just lost head-to-head at home against them. And I think they're right there with the Packers, who have really fallen off of a table since they started off so hot. And then the Washington Commanders as well. And all of that is while they're not healthy. So when they get everybody back, there is a chance they maybe kind of move themselves to be that third best team in this conference.
The 636 makes a really good point. Yeah, but who have the Rams beaten? And the Rams beat the Texans 14-9. They beat the Titans 33-19. They lose to the Eagles, and they lose to the Eagles off of a blocked field goal that goes back for a touchdown. And then you beat the Colts. And I think the Colts are good, but I don't think the Colts are like top tier good right now around some of these teams. So you are absolutely correct. And he also texted in and say this was also a McVay problem because you didn't take the points and trust your defense to get the ball back. How did you feel about that decision, T-Bone? Because you're a big Rams fan. Sean McVay, with 3.5 minutes left, opted to go for it at 4th and inches, rather than just kick the field goal and tie the football game.
I actually didn't mind the decision, and I'm typically one of those that is more conservative when it comes to going for it on 4th down. But I just looked at that and said, your defense hadn't really stopped Mac Jones all game. So I said, you're not probably going to get a stop. And with the amount of time that was left in the ball game, I think it was 4.5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, was left when they go for it on this 4th and 1, 3:41.
Yeah, I was going to say it was closer to 3.
So you're not getting the ball back if you kick the field goal. So do you really want to settle for a tie? And you're at the 11-yard line, and it's only 1 yard. I think you have to go for it there and try and win the football game and try and get a score. And the 49ers hadn't stopped you in the second half either. So I like the decision to go for it. I absolutely hated the play call from Sean McVay. And Sean McVay even admitted post-game, hey, yeah, not my best call.
That was terrible.
But Matthew Stafford's been picking apart the 49ers defense in the second half. Why are you not putting the ball in his hands, right? Why not put it in the gunslinger's hands? And you've got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams have had pretty good games. Why are you not throwing for it on 4th and 1? And if you are going to run the ball, I'm not running it to the right side where I've got 2 receivers blocking on the outside edge where all these linebackers are crashing down. And I know Puka's a good run blocker. So is Whittington, I think, was the other one that was there on that play. I'm not running behind them. I'm running behind the O-line. I'm trying to just get this up the middle. I just hated the play call for it. I love the decision. I think you have to go for it there. I think the play call is what the big problem was.
You nailed it. I mean, if you go for the field goal there, you're tying the football game. You're giving the ball back to the 49ers, who all they need to do is get within field goal range and then just milk the clock, because I don't know how many timeouts they had the rest of the way. You're milking the clock if you're the 49ers and then kicking for the win, or you're ending in a tie. Sure, play for the tie all you want. I like aggressive head coaches. I think that was the dumbest play call I've ever seen. The knowledge that Sean McVay has and the amount of people that say, oh, Sean McVay is one of the better coaches, one of the best coaches in the NFL today. And your play call on 4th and 1 was to just drop back and hand the ball off to Kyron Williams. Stafford dominated the second half of that game. He threw for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. You got to come up with a better creative play there. I loved the decision to go for it. It's what Dan Campbell would have done. To me, it's what the aggressive head coaches do. You play for the win. You don't play for the tie. The problem was the play call, which my guess is you don't see him make that same issue again at some point this season.
Yeah, and you mentioned McVay as being one of the top coaches in the league, which he is. Also, to say this, going back to the 49ers real quick, what the 49ers are doing is a reminder of just how good of a head coach Kyle Shanahan is.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? The fact that he's making Mac Jones look like the guy that I said, remember when he came out of the draft, I'm like, hey, this is going to be the guy that wins the first Super Bowl in this quarterback group. Well, that's the guy that I thought I was going to see in New England that we've seen with the 49ers. So Kyle Shanahan, hell of a head coach, and he's got Sean McVay's number when it comes to the regular season. Sean's won the most important games when it's mattered in the playoffs, I think once or twice. But, man, in the regular season, Kyle Shanahan has got Sean McVay's number.
636 asks a fun question. What's a dumber decision, that play last night or Russell Wilson throwing the ball instead of running it with Marshawn Lynch?
I would say
It's got to be Seattle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Super Bowl versus week 5.
And, like, you think about Marshawn Lynch versus Kyron Williams, there's a big difference on when we're trying to get that yard on the running back.
Yeah, no, Pete Carroll obviously will take that one every day of the week. We'll get more into the NFL weekend look ahead in the 1 o'clock hour, and we do have our pick-em for the upcoming weekend. BK is going to call in, and we'll have our pick-em a little bit later on. But with Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Alex Ferrario. Coming up next, it's Ask Us Anything. You send us a question, we'll get into it next here on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Also our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. We are live here at our E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. We've got Graham Francis back in our 101 ESPN studios. And we have Ask Us Anything, where you send us a question. We will answer it for you right here on 101 ESPN. Let's start with this one, T-Bone. From the 314, as Alexander Steen being invited to Team Sweden's management team, does that indicate he's going to be a good general manager? I don't think it indicates he's going to be a good general manager. Frankly, I mean, we don't know about Alexander Steen. From what I know and have had conversations with him and people in the organization, he's a very smart hockey mind. He referenced this on the Last Minute Blues podcast, saying, like, I've been around hockey my entire life. His dad is a legend in the NHL, specifically with the Winnipeg Jets. Like, he's been around hockey. He knows the culture. He knows what works, what doesn't work. It's just everything that GMs have to figure out. Who do you call? How do you get the rosters in shape? Blah, blah, blah. That's what he's learning on the fly. Him being invited to Team Sweden tells me that he's got an eye for talent. Team Sweden believes he understands how to identify talented players, so they want him helping to choose, which is a great sign if you're a Blues fan, because you've got a guy who understands hockey, has been around hockey his entire life, and can identify talent.
Yeah, I think it probably is I wouldn't read too much into it, though I do think it is a positive feather into his hat. Like, I think when you look at this, I think it tells you two things. One, they believe what you just said about him having a good eye for talent. But I think number two is, I think they look at this too and they wanted a former player to help them kind of do this as well, right? They didn't want just front office personnel guys that haven't played in the NHL. They wanted someone that has been a player in the NHL. I believe he played for Sweden in one of the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was multiple of them.
Yeah, so I think they wanted a former player to help them out as well, right? You've got the voices of the brass that maybe didn't play in the NHL, while also getting the voice of Alexander Steen, a guy that has been in the league and knows what it takes to play at that level.
He played twice for Sweden in World Juniors.
I could have sworn he was on that team.
Yeah, he played the Olympics in 2014 when they won silver. So he's represented, and he played in the World Championship in 2007, which isn't the Olympics. It's that offseason one that they play, but he was there as well. So, yeah, Team Sweden wants a guy who's very knowledgeable. And remember, before he got the job with the Blues, he was running an organization over in Team Sweden as a GM over there. So there's a lot that goes into that, but that just tells you he can identify talent. From the 314, guys, what did the Red Sox trade for Garrett Crochet? And first, why didn't the Cardinals do that? Second, can or should they try something like that trade this upcoming winter? I don't remember. I'm going to Google what they made that trade for. Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, Chase Maydroff, and Wickelman Gonzalez. I know nothing about any of those guys. I would assume you're talking about some top prospects, but the trade was made last December. So it's hard to say like it was a pass or a fail because you haven't seen any of these guys. But they traded top prospects, I would imagine, for Garrett Crochet.
They traded 2 top 100 prospects in the sport.
So that would be the equivalent of
like J.J. Weatherholt and I guess
pick your poison.
Liam Doyle or Quinn Matthews. I don't know if he's in the top 100 anymore.
Yeah, so like you're trading that equivalent to get something like that. Should the Cardinals do that? Yeah, if something presents itself to get a 26-year-old top pitcher, sure. But I don't think the Cardinals are in a position to trade top 100 prospects right now. They're in the process of finding more top 100 prospects. And when you're ready to compete, then you go out there and make that trade.
See, and I don't even know that it makes sense for them this year. And the reason I say that is, okay, so maybe another pitcher that does come available that you view as the Garrett Crochet that can be at the front end of your rotation for the next, whatever his contract extension was, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just said they gave up 2 top 100 prospects. The Red Sox could make that happen because they had about 4 of them. They could make the decision of, okay, do we keep this one? Do we stick with this one? Do we send this one away and use them as trade bait? You would be giving up basically, it would be probably J.J. Weatherholt and then one of probably Quinn Matthews or Liam Doyle. And that just doesn't make sense for the Cardinals. Their farm system is so depleted. It's why they've had their struggles at the big league level. And I don't think it makes sense to be depleting it more. They need to be supplementing it, right? They need to be acquiring talent via trade or via free agents or via the draft this upcoming year. Like, I don't think they're in a spot to even make this kind of a move because they are in a rebuild, and it starts by building out the infrastructure down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I mean, if I had the option of go out there and sign a pitcher that's a little bit up there in age, but still has some elite stuff that you're taking a chance on. We've talked about this, Dustin May, Dylan Cease, Shane Bieber, things like that. I will do that before I'm trading multiple top 100 prospects. The Red Sox made that move because they believed all of their prospects were ready to perform at the major league level, and they wanted to go out there and get somebody who can anchor the rest of their team. A couple more of these before we get to Mike McKenna on the other side. From Car Wash Dave, guys, do you think Jordan Binnington will retire as a St. Louis Blue? Man, that's tough to say. I'd like him to retire as a St. Louis Blue because I think he already holds all of these records, and you'd probably have a lot of records that might not be touched in the future. But, I mean, he's 32 years old. He'll be 34 when his contract is up. You're not retiring at the age of 34. But if you're him, are you still the number one guy in St. Louis? Because if I'm not, as a 34-year-old, I might go take a chance elsewhere. I'll say this about Jordan Binnington. He looks like he's locked in right now. And I've said this in the past, and it hasn't backed it up. This seems like it could be a special season for Jordan Binnington if all things go right, because he allowed 2 goals on 78 shots in preseason. He just seemingly is locked in every time a flurry happens in front of him. So I don't know if he finishes his career with St. Louis. If I were to guesstimate now, I'd say no, because if you're Binnington, you want a shot to be a starter elsewhere, and the Blues might be looking to Joel Hofer in 2 years. But I think if Jordan Binnington continues to stay at this level of eliteness, I don't know why you would want to move on from him.
Yeah, I think if he continues to play like this, I don't know that you make that move. It just depends on where Hofer and whoever you think is Hofer's backup is
Probably Colton Ellis if things go the right way.
Yeah, that's who I was kind of thinking as well. Kind of depends on what those guys are doing. It depends on what Jordan Binnington is doing. If Binnington is still playing at a high level, I don't know why you wouldn't have him finish out his career here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, like, just for reference, Marc-Andre Fleury, when he was 34 years old, was an all-star and was 4th in the Vezina voting. He won the Vezina when he was 36 years old and won the Jennings Trophy. So it just depends. If you've got a goalie that can play until he's 40-plus years old, then, yeah, you keep him until he retires. But it also comes down to where you feel like he's at versus what you have in the organization. We'll ask this question of former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna. He joins us, Macadoodle Mike, on Fridays next on BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
King and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federico's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. We're going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Saved by Mike McKenna. How do you like me now?
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Garden Prairie.
It's a Friday, which means we are out here at our Centene Community Ice Center studios, E&B Granite Studios, along with Tanner Hendrickson and Grant Francis. I'm Alex Ferrario, and it also means that we get to talk hockey with our favorite former NHL goaltender. He is brought to you by Macadoodles as he joins us every Friday here on 101 ESPN. Mike McKenna, how's it going, my man?
Living, just you play hockey on a Friday morning. Life's good. Come into the store. I know usually give you guys a little recap, but I had a pretty wild night at a softball game last night watching 9-year-olds play. If you want to get into it, we can. But I tell you what, it's just there's some common decency and dignity that was ignored, and I thought I was going to see grown men fight at a 9-year-old softball game.
I mean, you can't offer me a plate of wings and tell me not to eat it. So let's hear it.
So here's the thing, these kids are bottom level. Okay, my daughter just playing for the fun of it. It's great. She decided she wanted to play softball this year and out of nowhere, and awesome, Well, they're playing against this team, and this team's coach looked like Dale Earnhardt, okay, legit. I don't know, he's probably somebody's grandpa, but he's doing it all himself, and he's taking it ultra seriously. They've got, people on the other side cheerleading. It was completely absurd for what we were watching level. Well, the guy starts to try to exploit every gray area you can imagine. Again, this is beginner level, and he's running girls 3/4 of the way down the bags to try to bait our team into making a play and get their team around the bases. Then he's delaying to try to get the game to end early so that we don't even get another at bat so that their team can win, which they're up by 3 runs against a team like ours from a lower level. And it kind of came down to it that we had one person amongst our group that had seen enough, and pretty much in a calm way, in an adult way, told the guy, "You're hurting this game. Knock it off. This is about just let the kids play, right?" And of course, the guy took offense to it, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm one of the only. I'm am I going to have to get out there on the field and break this up? And nothing ended up coming of it, but it just is such a great example of how there's nothing more important than your kids having fun and not seeing adults ruin things for them. But I have learned something about softball and baseball. There's a little bit different dynamic to hockey. We hear about crazy hockey parents, they exist. You hear about crazy any parents, they all exist. There's at least boards and glass between the parents and the players in hockey. In baseball, softball, there's a chain link fence and every parent's coaching their kids from the stands. And I'm not sure that that's a very good dynamic. So I'm proposing today on 101 ESPN here that we put boards and glass up at baseball games, and we put a soundproof room in for the parents. And I would like some feedback from any structural engineers out there if we think that's feasible. And I'm ready to claim some royalty rights on this as we move forward.
There you go. Send it into our Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Well, Mike McKenna, speaking of fun, looked like the Blues had that last night in the first 8 minutes of the game when they scored 3 goals on the Ottawa Senators. Nice to get a preseason win, I'm sure. But we talked about this at the beginning of the show. Defensively, it feels like this is a really gifted group of defensemen for St. Louis. And I'm really curious your thoughts on what the offensive ceiling is for the 6 guys that we could be seeing a lot of this season for St. Louis.
Well, it's higher than we've seen in the past couple of years. And obviously that was jump-started by bringing in some of the right people. I think sometimes, and I'd like your thoughts if you agree with me on this, I think sometimes we forget how gifted even Justin Falk is with the puck. He's kind of, it kind of goes past you at times, and then all of a sudden he makes a great play through the neutral zone or finds a lane, or sometimes he just crushes a puck. The guy can really shoot. You kind of forget it. I think bringing him in made a difference. Obviously, putting Cam Fowler in the lineup, and it's great that he got extended too, is big. But it's the right mix, because really the only defenseman for the Blues that we expect to be in that top six probably at this point, if Tucker's in that mix, he's not the guy that's going to pick the puck up and go the other direction every time, and that's fine. He's still pretty good with the puck. I just think that you're poised now to see a team that in some ways reminds me of, ironically, Cam Fowler's old team in Anaheim years ago when they won their Stanley Cup, and they had Scott Niedermayer and a couple of other really mobile defensemen. The Blackhawks with Seabrook and Fowler and others. And those teams all had people that could move. And, the Blues had a great D-corps when they won the Stanley Cup in 2019. I think we have an even more mobile D-corps now. I mean, Parayko's playing at a level that he hasn't ever before with the puck. Mailloux looks the part, guys. So, yeah, I think the ceiling's high. It's just sustainability. Some of them are still young. Broberg looks good. It still may take a couple games before we really know what it'll look like.
And, Mike, I wanted to focus on Broberg. What do you think that next level can look like from him from an offensive perspective? I mean, he had 8 goals a season ago in 68 games played and had 29 points. He looks just as active in the preseason as he did last year. I think he scored 3 goals already. What do you think is that next step for him from an offensive perspective?
Confidence is going to play a big part for Phillip, because last year after his injury when he came back, he just didn't look like he was the same player as the first half of the season. I don't mean that in a negative light, like he was terrible. It seemed like he was missing a little bit of what had been there before. So for him, it's reclaiming that, having a good camp, scoring a couple goals, having a good preseason, that matters. I always tend to look at what a player has done at lower levels previously. Broberg going early in the draft doesn't necessarily mean anything, but what does is in the American League, he was 2/4 to 3/4 of a point a game as a defenseman. That's not easy to do. That's really hard to do, and he did it while being a plus player. So to me, this is an Erik Karlsson where you get him on your team and you automatically lose. Okay? This is a guy who's also going to play some responsible defense for you when it's called upon. So if he's gone 2/4, 2/3 to 3/4 of a point a game in the American League, can he put up 40 points in the NHL? Absolutely he can. He was close to that pace last year. I don't think you're going to see him score more than 10 goals in a season. Maybe 15 it's pretty high. I think you could get 45 or 50 points out of Broberg, though, on a consistent basis in the league as a 3 or 4 pairing and be really happy with it.
Mike, you mentioned Cam Fowler. Did you like the Cam Fowler extension and the AAV that they signed?
I'm happy he's on the team. That's what I'm happy about. And I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, it feels like, but he didn't look like he lost anything to me last year. And if you're going to put him on the ice and make him be one of your focal points, especially when you've got Parayko locked up for when he is, I think it's good business. Now, to get him, though, at $6 million, it feels heavy for a player of his age. He's going to be 36, guys, 37 at the end of it.
Yeah, 37 at the end of it.
And there's a lot of miles on that body. But I think we also have to look at the Anaheim Ducks, who also just signed Lacombe for like nine schmil over 8, and the guy's played 1 year. And this is a going rate on defensemen. Cam Fowler's a proven product at 6'1", proven. And in my eyes, if Fowler goes for a bit more money, he might get a 2-year or 1-year deal somewhere. I think he actually took a little bit to stay with a team he likes in St. Louis here. So, I mean, would I like to see him at $4.5 to $5 million? I absolutely would. But if this gives you certainty on your blue line with the Blues when you're still trying to win right now, I do like the deal with some reservations.
Mike, it does look like, at least us kind of speculating here, we'll see what the actual roster ends up being for opening night, but it feels like Milan Lucic is going to make this Blues team out of camp. I'm curious, they say the reason for Milan Lucic, why they brought him in and why he could potentially make the team, is he almost provides this kind of comfort for the forwards, right? We can't get bullied now anymore. Teams aren't going to be willing to throw the body around because we can send Lucic over the boards. How real is that for players to know, hey, we've got an enforcer on our team that can help us out as well?
Well, it's real. I'm frankly surprised. I really am. And if Milan Lucic makes it back to the NHL after being away for 2 years, we all thought he was retired and done. At least I did from the peripheral. It's an amazing story. I'm just not sure where he's going to fit into this lineup very often. It's a lineup that does need some sandpaper and some heaviness and some size. The Blues really don't have that. I mean, if you can't expect Braden Shen to be the one guy who's going to drop your mitts, or Tyler Tucker, because you don't want to have one of your defensemen sitting in the box for 5 minutes in today's game. You just don't. So I think it's there. It's just the question is how many games is Lucic going to end up in the lineup? You know, is his body going to hold out? Is he going to be a fourth line guy? Is he going to be happy there? Is he going to displace somebody from the lineup? You know, I mean, is it Texier? Could he do that? Joseph? I don't know. So I think it matters a little bit. I'm still surprised by it. I'll put it that way. And maybe it turns out to be a good thing for the Blues, but this is one that's, if I were in that position, I'm not sure I'd go that same route, but that's just me.
Yeah, it'll be with one more game Saturday, and then, of course, the season opener. I would imagine you'll get that final roster Sunday or potentially Monday. Mike, let's talk Macadoodles before we let you go. It's the fall. It's bonfire season. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on at Macadoodles.
Well, it's your time to come in and still get those Oktoberfest beers. We just got some little mini kegs of Oktoberfest beers and some German beers. Those are pretty cool. Pumpkin beers are starting to roll in, but what happened this week was a big old allocated drop from our friends at the Jim Beam Distillery, because we got some Knob Creek 21-year aged coming in. We got the new Little Book release. We got the new Booker's release. We also received some Bottled in Bond from Angel's Envy. That's a limited release and a new one. We also got cask strength 10-year Angel's Envy. They've never done an age stated before. So, I mean, some really super cool and rare bottles have hit our shelf that we're happy to have. Baker's High Rye, other things. And, man, we just got the big dogs in wine. We got Opus 1 in. It's out at a good price. Camus is out on the shelves. Again, always at a price way less than grocery stores. We're pretty excited about it here because we know what October's like. We got these thriller packs out there at Angry Orchard that glow in the dark, guys. Like hard cider cans glowing in the dark. Wait till you get the black lights out around the fire. So we're excited here at Macadoodles, and we'll be open until 9 o'clock today at the corner of Bryan and Feisey Road, just north of the Page Extension.
Make sure you get out there. Incredible customer service on top of everything you heard Mike just go through in terms of what they have in stock. Mike, always appreciate it, man. Next time we talk, we're going to be reacting to the season opener next Friday. Have a great weekend, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
That sounds great. It's music to my ears. So let's see it. Blues hockey. Take it easy, guys.
You're preaching to the choir to get this preseason thing freaking over with. That felt good, though. He said Broberg 40-plus points, which if that happens, I felt very comfortable with my 40 or more points from 3 different defensemen. He's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, it's exactly what you thought it was. It's time for our football pick'em. The anxiety kicks in. We'll welcome in BK, and we'll make our picks for this weekend next year on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Well, it's that time of the week where really everybody listening loves it except the three of us. It is our football pick'em where we make our picks against the spread this weekend. We make our 3-point play, our 2-point play, our 1-point play, most confident, least confident, and then, of course, we see what's on the other side. And what was on the other side from this past month was BK losing. Now, it's not like BK got blown out because T-Bone won just with a tiebreaker of the most 3-point plays. They both had 10 points. BK's going to suffer the punishment on Monday. I came on top with 18. And joining us now on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL to make his picks, it is Brandon Kiley with, I believe we got a special guest on there, Luca Kiley. Ladies and gentlemen, the first appearance
Our
for
favorite
Luca.
Kiley.
There we go. BK, how's it going, my man?
We're doing great, man. We're hanging out at home. Luca was feeling a little under the weather earlier this week, which means that it was the two of us hanging out for the day. So we'll see you guys again on Monday, but it's good to be here. Appreciate you guys finding a way to make this work.
All right. Well, we hope that Luca can provide BK some good luck. Well, actually, we don't, but maybe BK is hoping Luca can provide with some good luck. Again, if you don't know how this game works, we make 3 picks, our most confident pick, our second most confident, and our least confident, and we hope that we come out with 6 points on the other side, and we react to them on Monday. And the person with the fewest amount of points at the end of the month suffers a punishment, and at the end of the football season, whoever has the fewest amount of points overall will suffer the season-long punishment. So, BK, we will start with you, sir. Your 1-point play.
All right, my 1-point play this week. I feel good about it. The Ravens are playing this weekend without Lamar Jackson. The Texans are a 2.5-point road favorite. I would take the Texans this week minus 6.5 points. I think the Texans win this one going away. The Ravens defense is ravaged with injury. Their offense is completely reliant upon Lamar Jackson doing things. So give me the Texans minus the 2.5 points on the road.
I wanted to go with this, but man, part of me was like, I could see this burning me in the Ravens just being like, see, we're not that bad. Luca, what do we got? Do we got a thumbs up or a thumbs down for Daddy's 1-point play?
Yeah. I hope we get a thumbs down.
Luca's like, I'm done with this one.
No, he can't.
There it is.
Up.
Yeah, no, you can't put a thumbs up there. That was too big of a hand for Luca on that one. So BK is going with the Texans minus 2.5 for his 1-point play. T-Bone, what do you got?
Well, my 1-point play, I don't feel good about anything that I'm doing this week. My confidence is shaken after tying with BK. My 1-point play, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Jets, minus 2.5 points. Look, the Jets' defense is bad. The Cowboys' defense is bad as well, but the Cowboys are going to be able to put up points. I don't have any faith in Justin Fields and the Jets keeping up and attract me. So I like the Cowboys minus 2.5 points as they visit the Jets this weekend.
Don't like that one, but as T-Bone mentioned, he didn't either. So
no, I didn't really either.
Well, I don't like my 1-point play either, but at least I have a little bit more confidence than T-Bone probably should. I am taking the Dolphins minus 1.5 on the road. Now, I originally wasn't going to go with this play. I wanted to go the Buccaneers plus the points. But then I saw Chuba Hubbard's not playing for Carolina. And honestly, you take Hubbard out of it, you're relying on Bryce Young to do everything himself. Even though it's a home game, I think the Dolphins are feeling a little bit good after what they did this past week. I think they win this one minus 1.5. That's my 1-point play.
I'm not watching that game, just to be clear.
I'm not watching. Oh, that's not true. I picked up Darren Waller on waivers in fantasy, so I actually probably will be watching this one, but God only knows what that one's going to turn out to be. BK, your 2-point play.
My 2-point play this week, T-Bone has talked about how terrible this team is in the past. I like Penn State going on the road. They are a 24.5-point favorite against a team that legitimately might go 0-12 this season in UCLA. So give me Penn State. I know it's a huge number. I don't care. Penn State minus 24.5 on the road at UCLA.
You and I are thinking alike because this is my 3-point play this week. James Franklin can't beat the great opponents. He will kick the crap out of the Bruins and UCLA. That team's given up. They are awful. I feel bad for that school. They are going to blow them out of the water. I love this play. It's my 3-point play minus the 24.5.
All right. So, BK, the last time you guys went with the same play, it didn't work out too well. So we'll see if that happens on this one. But the 3-point play for T-Bone and the 2-point play for BK. My 2-point play, no surprise here, still in the NFL. I am taking the Eagles minus 3.5 at home against the Denver Broncos. I know everyone acts like the Denver Broncos defense is great, and all of a sudden Denver still is a sneaky team in the AFC. I don't buy any of it. I think the Eagles are still the supreme team in the NFC. Good luck trying to find a way to stop that offense from Jalen Hurts. And I think they throw the ball a little bit more this week because of A.J. Brown all up in tight undies over him not getting the ball so much. So Eagles minus 3.5, my 2-point play. I think that one's an easy one for me. I probably shouldn't have said that.
This was just on the outside in looking for me. I had considered this one, but I ultimately decided with my other 3 here.
I don't like the idea that I just said.
Yeah.
It was an easy pick for me because when BK does that, it typically goes the opposite direction. All right, BK, your 3-point play.
All right, my 3-point play for the week. I've mentioned this already. T-Bone said he hates it, so I don't think he's going to follow me on this one like he did on my last college pick. I don't get it. I don't get it, guys. Florida is one of the worst Power 5 offenses in the country. Texas has the best defense in the country, arguably, so far this season. Texas is only a 5.5-point favorite. I understand they are on the road, and this means that I have 3 road teams this week. I don't love that, but Texas minus 5.5 at Florida. I think this should be closer to 7.5 or 8. Give me the Longhorns winning big on the road at Florida.
See, Luca just said he didn't agree with that. Luca's like, I don't like that pick, Daddy. You need to do something better than that one. Yeah, he loves those Gators. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Right, Luca? That's right. All right. T-Bone, what do you got for the 2-point play?
My 2-point play, I'm sticking in college football as well. Look, this game screams trap. But
good, I'm going to pick it.
I think the boys are going to be ready to go this weekend. I am backing my Fighting Illini as they go fight for a cannon this weekend at Purdue, minus 9.5. Look, a lot of people are probably thinking, boy, they're going to be looking ahead to Ohio State. They got their butts whipped by Indiana. It was a wake-up call. They're going to come out. They're going to take care of business this weekend. Give me the Fighting Illini, minus 9.5 on the road at Purdue.
Man, you liked it, but you just didn't like it as your 3-point play.
Penn State, UCLA sucks, so it was easy.
All right, well, my 3-point play, I can't believe I'm doing this. We have officially gotten here, folks. I am going to back the Cleveland Browns. It is plus 4.5. I know this one's played in London, so that's all the weird stuff that could take place. Here's the thing. I don't think Carson Wentz is any good, and I think this defense, specifically Myles Garrett, is going to shove it down his throat. Now, I understand Brian Flores' defense is good as well, but I think the Browns are going to get that new quarterback bump with Dylan Gabriel. So they're the underdogs, plus 4.5. I love that play, especially that it's not fewer than plus 3.5. So plus 4.5, Cleveland Browns, my 3-point play. How you guys feeling?
I haven't seen 4.5 anywhere, but I love the fact that you were able to find it.
I have it on DraftKings right now. I pulled that up just in case.
I've got it at 3.5. That is one of the games that I loved. I also like T-Bone's Illini minus the 8.5 this week. I liked 5 different games against the spread this week, so that's going to end horribly for me.
I was going to say that bodes well for all of us that we loved some of these plays and how they turn out with this one. So if you missed it, BK's plays 3-point is the minus 5.5 for Texas at Florida. His 2-point play minus 24.5 at UCLA, which is also T-Bone's 3-point play, and BK's 1-point play are the Texans minus 2.5 at the Ravens. T-Bone also has his 2-point play minus 9.5 Illinois at Purdue, minus 2.5 for the Cowboys at Jets. I went Browns plus 4.5, Eagles minus 3.5, and Dolphins minus 1.5. So those are our plays. As you know by now, fade them so you can make money this weekend. BK, Luca, you guys have a great rest of your weekend, man. Luca, I love that smile, buddy.
Can you say bye-bye, Luca?
You're giving a kiss. Everyone blow kisses. Bye, Luca.
See you guys.
I feel like Miss Rachel right now on YouTube. Bye, Luca.
All right, see you guys. Have a good one.
Appreciate BK filling in there for us on the football pick'em as he's home with his little guy, feeling a little bit better. I don't feel any better about my picks.
I'm with you. Not great.
No. When it came out of my mouth, Browns plus 4.5, I'm like, well, I can't believe I'm doing this, but hopefully it pays off
Especially
in the end.
in London.
Yeah. So we'll put this one out there for socials for everyone to follow along with us this weekend. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into the junk drawer. But coming up next, Cardinals are still wanting to be strong defensively up the middle. And I think the team that won yesterday showed us why the Cardinals are sticking with that. And are the Padres windows closing? Is the Padres windows closing? We'll get into all that next here on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. You can select entries and win money right now, even here in the state of Missouri. For this upcoming weekend in the NFL, I love Carson Wentz lower on his passing yards, Justin Fields higher on his rushing yards, C.J. Stroud higher on his passing yardage total, and I also like Amon-Ra St. Brown to record a touchdown this weekend. You put all that together, it's 10-1 odds over on the Underdog app.
I love those play too, BK, which means you're helping people win the most money possible. And it is super easy to use the Underdog app. BK walked you through it. You pick your favorite players to go higher or lower in certain stats, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So download the Underdog app today and sign up with promo code BKO to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Grant Francis here with a SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night, the Blues won their first preseason game so far this preseason in blowout fashion, 7-1 over the Ottawa Senators. Philip Broberg had 2 goals in the game. They'll hope for more of that tomorrow in Chicago as the Blues round out their preseason schedule against the Blackhawks. It'll be a 5 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock puck drop right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Tonight here on 101 ESPN, you can listen to some college football action. It'll be BYU going up against West Virginia. Pregame at 9, kickoff at 9:30 here on 101 ESPN. I'm Grant Francis. The SportsCenter update's been brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Fedorko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
And Merrill grounds the ball to shortstop. Swanson to the bag. Swanson to first. Swanson to the dugout. He's everywhere.
Talking about defense, I don't think they give an MVP for this round. I'd give it to Swanson. I mean, Dansby played his tail off, man. He almost single-handedly beat us with his glove. We talk about in the modern game about the pitching, and we talk about the offense and who we're hitting for and all the things that are, appropriate to talk about in our game. But the one thing that we don't talk about as much anymore is your defense. In this time of year, your defense, and we play great defense, but Dansby Swanson absolutely beat us with his glove this series.
So that is the voice of former Cardinals manager and Padres manager Mike Shildt after his team lost to the Cubs yesterday 3-1, lost 2-1 in the series as they were knocked out of the playoffs, and the Cubs are headed to the NLDS to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. He's talking a lot about Dansby Swanson there, and rightfully so, T-Bone, with Tanner Hendricks and Alex Ferrario. Swanson robbed 3 plays that had a higher than 500 expected batting average, and one of those turned out to be a double play in the 6th inning. Also on top of that, you had Nico Horner make a defensive rob that was an expected batted average of 560, and in the first, Pete Crow Armstrong made a sliding catch. The part that Mike Shildt continued to hammer on was defense and how impactful it was in that game. And look, it was a low-scoring affair like most of these have been, and the Cubs came out on top because of their defense. Do you know what Dansby Swanson did offensively in that Padres series?
Did he do a lot? I don't think he did.
He went 2 for 9 with a walk, an RBI, and struck out 6 times.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the walk was what led to the RBI. So it wasn't even a hit that drove in a run.
So the reason I bring that up is the Cubs, although they were really good offensively this season with Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Busch, and Kyle Tucker, Dansby Swanson wasn't anything to write home about. But his defense is the reason that they are going on to the next round, and it's the reason the NL Central has won a playoff series for the first time since, 2019?
When the Cardinals beat the Braves in the DS.
That's insane, especially because the Cardinals, weren't looked at as a great team in 2019. But the reason we're bringing this up is the Cubs advanced because of their defense up the middle. And as much as we have talked so much about, T-Bone, of the offense and how you need studs and superstars, the Cardinals have been building this way. They talk so much about Mason Wynn's defense, about the defense behind the plate, the defense in center field with Victor Scott. The Cubs just showed you why defense is still important if you want to have success in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I am the one that comes off as saying, defense is a little overvalued. And I think to an extent it somewhat is still. But the reason that I saw this last night went, man, the Cubs are doing what the Cardinals are trying to do, which is really build up that middle, as you said, is look at what it did last night for him. I mean, you mentioned the 3 plays from Dansby Swanson in that game last night, all robbing hits that had the expected batting average above 500. He wasn't the only one. PCA made a sliding catch in the first inning to, I think it was the lead off the game or get the second out of the game, that had an expected batting average of 790. Nico Horner made a leaping catch that prevented the Padres from making it a 2-1 game in the top of the 7th inning on a ball that had an expected batting average of 560. When we talk about being strong up the middle, I'm not necessarily opposed to that idea, but I don't think you can just be defensive first up the middle. And what I mean by that is when you look at these guys up the middle for the Chicago Cubs this season, Nico Horner was a 6-win player in terms of WAR because of his defense. and his offense. He was 14% above league average from an offensive perspective.
Yeah.
PCA, 6-WAR player this season, kind of fell off of a cliff, was early on in the MVP conversation, remember? He ended up being 18% above league average. You look at Dansby Swanson. We've talked about him. He's kind of what I would hope Mason Wynn ends up becoming as a bat, for say, to be about 5% above league average. Maybe he does end up getting 20 home run power, but I think it's possibly in there for Mason Wynn. That's what you have to do if you're the St. Louis Cardinals. Meanwhile, you look at what they're doing with their defense first, and I get what they were trying to do, especially this year, because they were such a pitch-to-contact staff. They almost had to be willing to sacrifice offense for defense. But Victor Scott II was at 72 OPS plus. Mason Wynn was at 90 this year. And I think Wynn's explainable, had the knee injury that really sent him spiraling downhill in the second half. I think defense does matter, but I think you also have to have guys that have bats that bring it to the table as well. I don't think you can just rely on these defense-first guys. I think you can have maybe one of those guys in your lineup. You can't have three that are defense-first and are below league average offensively, and that's the thing that they have to figure out as this goes along. Can Victor Scott get to another level offensively? Mason Wynn, can he get to being a above league average bat? Again, he doesn't have to be 20%. I think about where Swanson was this year, about 5% is where I think he has to be. I think that's how you have to build this out, because you look at the Cubs, they were taking away hits yesterday, but they were also getting hits, and those guys are comfortable at the plate.
Yeah, we have a lot of people texting in on our Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646 saying, guys, Dansby Swanson hit 24 home runs, had 77 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, and hit 244. Those numbers would have been towards the tops in the Cardinals category. Totally, but what does that tell you about the Cardinals? Like, they're still looking for guys who can just be above average. And I mean, I think it's very easy to say that's what Dansby Swanson is. He's not an elite player. He's an above average player, but an above average player with elite defense.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about here. Again, defense didn't win them that series. It was a huge component in it, but you also had Nico Horner, who went 364 in the series. Michael Busch, who had 400 and had 1,200 OPS with 3 for 4 with an RBI. Like, you had guys hitting, and then the defense backed up that offense as the pitching maybe have faltered at times. And that's what the Padres didn't have. The Padres pitching wasn't great. They couldn't hit the ball, and defensively they weren't as good.
Yeah, and you mentioned, or that texter says, hey, Swanson would have been top in your list. Yeah, and what we talked about all the time, we talked about with Bader at the time, we talked about it with Alec Burleson. Really good player, right? Should be probably your 5 or 6 hole hitter, not your number 3 hitter. You know where Swanson hit in the Cubs lineup yesterday? 8th. He was their 8-hole hitter. Where did PCA hit in their lineup yesterday? 7.
Yep.
These guys are really good baseball players, and they do bring another element when it comes to their defense. But the defense, they are not guys that are required to be middle-of-the-order hitters. The defense is what is their best value that they bring, but they also are above league average and really lengthen out that Cubs lineup. To where you look at the Cubs this season, and you look at that lineup that they ran out there last night in that contest, really, Shaw's the only guy that you look at and say, hey, this is the guy that we think is an easy out in their lineup.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been above league average. Kelly was 20% above league average this season. Even Shaw really picked it up in the second half, where he was only 2% below league average. They are a very deep lineup, 1 through 9. I'm still skeptical that their pitching gets them through past the Milwaukee Brewers or into the World Series. But that is a really good deep lineup that they have built, and they've got the most important part in the middle of it, too. They've got the superstar. Yep. Kyle Tucker looked awesome in that series against the Padres.
And they might have an emerging one, too, in Michael Busch, depending on what that goes forward with. So let's go to the other side of this, because the Padres are out of the playoffs now. They made it to the NLDS last year, missed the playoffs. They made it to the CS 3 years ago. In the last 5 years, they've made it to the CS once. They've missed the playoffs twice, and then now they've lost in the wild card round against the Cubs. Are we seeing the window close for the Padres? It's an odd thing to say because of A.J. Preller and the wild-ish that guy will do in the offseason, but your offense was pretty much average, if not below average, in the second half of the season. Tatis Jr. was just non-existent in this playoff series for San Diego. Your bullpen was in shards, and pitching-wise, Darvish is old, and Dylan Cease potentially might not be back.
Yeah, I don't know if the window is over because of what you said with A.J. Preller, but I think they're starting to get hamstrung with money right now because they've got all these big contracts on the books. Manny Machado's got more years left.
And they can't move off any of them.
Yeah, Bogarts looks like a bad contract, which we said at the time. Yeah. You look at Tatis is locked up. Merrill is locked up. to where I just don't know how much flexibility they really have. And their bullpen's awesome. But Robert Suarez is probably going to opt out from his player option. Michael King, I'm assuming it has a mutual option. My guess he's going to go to free agency. And you mentioned Cease and Luis Ariz. I don't know where things go from here. And Machado's numbers have slowly started to come down. Still very good player, but he's not the Manny Machado that's in the MVP conversation anymore. He's more of like that 10 to 20% above league average guy. I think their window might be starting to close. They're still a playoff team probably next year. I don't know that they're a contender anymore. And I don't know how they get back to that. And it really sucks the Cardinals are in a rebuild because it feels like there's an opportunity that is opening up in this race in the National League, because I think it might be closing on them. Their offense was 22nd in slugging percentage this season. They were top 10 in batting average and on base. But again, in October, you can't win by stringing together hits. It is too difficult to do. You've got to show some power, and they didn't show it all season long. I kind of wonder if their window is closing on them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they're a playoff team moving forward. Like, the Mets just missed out. I don't believe that's going to be the case again next year, so that's probably one of those spots, which is most likely the Reds.
And then it depends on, like, do the Braves
That's what I was going to say. Do you expect the Braves to bounce back? Do you expect the Giants to go out there and make any moves, bring in a new manager? And do you expect the Diamondbacks to bounce back? Like, I do think this window is closing for them. And the wild part is your guys continue to age. And if the play decreases like the age is increasing, Machado's got a no trade. Tatis has got a no trade. Bogarts, Merrill doesn't have a no trade, but you're not trading him. Darvish has got a no trade. Musgrove has got a no trade. Cronenworth has got a no trade. I just listed off, what is that? Seven guys that 6 of those 7 are making north of $20 million.
Yeah, they're just hamstrung.
Yeah.
I don't
and there's not a whole lot in the system either in terms of pipeline from where they've been drafting.
To go get stuff.
Yes, and they'll probably continue to lose it to go get stuff.
And it's fascinating because you look at what they've done since 2019, which is that first year that Tatis is in the big leagues. They have had 2 players that are top 20 in WAR in Major League Baseball, and at a time had 2 postseason runs with a third and Juan Soto. And they haven't been able to get to the top. They've only gotten to the NLCS one. So for as much as we've talked about A.J. Preller and like the way he operates is fun to watch, it's not been successful when it comes to October. And I find it fascinating to see what they are going to end up doing. He might be able to kind of turn things around. We'll see what he's able to do in the offseason. But at some point, I think he's going to get hamstrung with these contracts because it feels like ownership's not going to spend willy-nilly. The owner that did that had passed away, and I don't know that. I think it's his brother. He doesn't seem to be as willing to do that and throw money around like they were previously.
Yeah, well, and I mean, also, you got Mason Miller, who's in pre-arb, so he's going to get paid. You mentioned Suarez, Luis Ariz, who's been a good piece for him. Like, they got some decisions to make, and I think there's 3 teams in Major League Baseball, specifically in the National League, that are on the increase, whereas I don't know where the Padres are headed, which makes the offseason that much more fascinating if you're A.J. Preller, for a guy that loves to wheel and deal. He's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. Coming up at 15. Is there anything we can learn from this weekend in college football? Because, my God, the games aren't that interesting other than like 1 or 2 of them. So we'll get to that in 15. Coming up next, the Junk Drawer here on 101 ESPN.
Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Alongside Tanner Hendrickson and Grant Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario, as it is BK and Ferrario. We are here at our E&B Granite Studios at Centene Community Ice Center. T-Bone, I'm going to give you a choice here for our junk drawer today. Okay. Would you like to talk about my backstage pass experience at Blink-182 or Taylor Swift singing about her sex life with Travis Kelce?
Yeah, I will go with the first option.
That's a really good choice. We'll leave the Taylor Swift album to somebody else to break down. So, as you can tell, I got my Blink-182 gear on right now. Went to the concert this past weekend. Shout out to Donnie Fandango and the great station for helping us out, because I wanted to make sure me and my buddy could go, because I haven't seen this since 2009. So Donnie's like, hey, your ticket's going to be a will call. Just pick them up when you get there. I'm like, awesome. Appreciate it. So me and my buddy, we get there. We walk up to will call. We pick them up. They hand us this looks like a sticker. It's this gold circle, and it's got like a ton of different writings on it. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, my buddy's like, I don't know. Maybe it's some type of thing that they're giving out to people. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I put it in my pocket. We walk around. We see some coworkers there. And we were like, hey, yeah, we got this at will call. And they gave us this sticker. And one of my coworkers was like, that's not a sticker. That's a backstage pass. And I'm like, what? My buddy at this time's freaking out. He's like, dude, we have backstage passes. I'm like, I'm sure. I go, I don't know how to use these. And they go, you walk over to the side building, just walk up and show them your thing and they'll let you in. I'm like, all right, sweet. So we walked over there. I have no idea. And look, I don't like to break rules. I like to follow rules to a T. I know. So we walk over there, and I have no clue how to do this. So there's this guy. He's sitting in a chair next to the door to go backstage. We walk up to him. As we were walking up, this guy just nonchalantly stands up, and he opens up the door. So, like, okay, cool. And so my not wanting to break the rules, I pull the sticker out, and I'm like, here you go. Immediately, like before I could even get it out of my pocket, he slams the door, and he goes, you can't bleep and go back here unless you got an escort. And I looked at him like, what is an escort? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, where do I find one of those? Like an usher? And he goes, no, you got to have an escort from the label. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, whatever. So I turned around. We walked away because I have no idea. As we were walking away, this lady who she had to be like closer to her 60s, she just walks up. She's got her purse, just on her phone, doesn't say anything. She doesn't have any passes or badges. She's just in her normal street clothes. She walks up. The guy opens the door for her and just lets her in. And I looked at my buddy and I go, oh, so the reason we're not going back there is because I'm a noob and don't know what the hell I'm doing. Act like you've been here before and you probably could have walked in no problem.
Yeah, seriously. Why you gotta be a rule follower?
I don't like to break rules. And my buddy's like, yeah, man, what the hell? And then luckily one of my coworkers made me feel better. It's like, look, you may have gotten past him. They got like 18 security guards standing up at the top of the backstage. So they would have just turned you around and left unless you were with a label. And I'm like, I don't even need to go backstage. I'm just happy to be here right now. We went to our seats. We had a great time. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I had backstage passes and I didn't even take advantage of those. I just need to act like I've been here before.
Yeah. It makes you feel better. Maybe that lady was like a family member. Like,
maybe, but like she didn't have anything on.
Well, the reason I say that is like maybe she's already come in and out once or twice.
Oh, and they've already seen her?
Maybe that's it, but
I don't know.
It feels like a missed opportunity.
I know. Well, and then it's
especially for Blink-182 being like your favorite band.
Well, that's the thing. And I was like, oh God, it's like, did I just miss the opportunity for us to like meet Blink-182? And luckily, Donnie's like calmly down. He's like, look, man, he's like, you wouldn't have been back there very long. You're not meeting the band. It's really awkward. You stand there and watch them eat before they go on stage. He's like, backstage isn't all it's meant up to be. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not that type of person that needs to go backstage. I'm happy to be here, but now you know, act like you've been here before in certain scenarios and don't look like you don't know what you're doing.
Is there, whether it be another band or Blink's the only one, is there a band that you're like, man, I really would love to go meet them backstage?
People are going to laugh at me, so Blink-182 would be one of them. Like, me and my buddy have, I don't want to say idolized them, but we have been obsessed with them probably since grade school.
That's why you guys still have band practice on Tuesdays.
That's absolutely. We actually tried to start a band, and then I found out I'm not very musically gifted. My buddy was the electric guitar. I was the bass guitar, and we tried to learn. I know how to play all the small things on a bass guitar, and that's about it. Blink-182, and then people are going to laugh at me. It's two other country concerts. It's Rascal Flatts, and it's Dan and Shay.
Oh, interesting.
Those are the other ones that, like, my wife and I, we have been obsessed with them since we were dating in high school. And then Sammy Hagar is another one that my dad and I have
Sammy's great.
always bonded over. So those would probably be on my list of, like, I'd want to meet them.
Yeah, I don't, like, I asked that question because I've been sitting over here while you've been telling the story thinking, man, is there a band or a group of people that I'm like, I would love to meet them backstage? And if I'm being honest, I think the answer is no. I love music. I love listening to different genres. I just told you there's a chance I'm going to 2 concerts this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a band I'd want to, like, meet backstage. The closest I've ever gotten was I'm a big Zach Brown band fan.
Oh, yeah.
And some of his older stuff.
They seem like they're awesome dudes.
Yeah, so we went to a concert, and this is when they were kind of coming up. Like, I think they'd only released 2 albums maybe at this point. And at the end of the concert, they say, hey, we're going to go out to the 2 like shirt stands that are over here, because this is a smaller outdoor venue. And we're going to, like, meet with people. We're going to sign some autographs for a little bit. And my dad's like, well, do you want to go do that? I'm like, well, they're probably not going to go there right away. I was like, I really don't want to hang around. Like, let's just go. So we just kind of walk around, and we kind of get ready to leave. And as we're, like, exiting, we would have been the first ones in line because they went straight to it and didn't wait around. I could have gotten, like, an autograph from Zach Brown. I could have been right there to meet him. And instead, I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to take a while. And let's beat the traffic instead. And this was me as, like, a high schooler that just blew off this opportunity. That's one I regret. But again, like, I don't think there's anybody that I would look at and say, yeah, I really would want to go meet them.
I'm just not that person that gets obsessed with bands. Like, I love music and I love certain bands, but it's like, I don't need to meet them. I love their music, and if I ever got to, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I don't ever, like, a lot of the bands I like, I never, like, follow them and, like, sign up for these, like, I never do that. And then my dad's like, hey, did you hear the new album from, like, the Black Keys? I'm like, they have a new album? Okay, well, sure, I'll check it out.
But out of mine, those are probably the 4 that it's like, if I were to meet them, I would probably fangirl it out. My wife would be the Backstreet Boys, like anything she could do to meet them, which I probably would imagine a lot of 30-plus-year-old women feel the exact same. Tanner Hendricks and Graham Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to do our NFL weekend look ahead. We'll preview the rest of the games in week 5. But coming up next, college football this weekend. There's a reason we haven't talked a lot about it, because other than a couple of games, there's not much going on. But can we learn anything this weekend in college football? Plus, what's better for Mizzou? Vandy beating Alabama or Alabama beating Vandy? We'll get to that next here on 101 ESPN.
and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
So if you're a fan of this show, you might be listening through it and say, guys, it is Friday, and you not once have brought up college football. Well, there's a reason why. With Tanner Hendrickson and Grant Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. This weekend, I think BK put it this way earlier this week, this is the weekend to go apple picking. Because when you look around the matchups, there is not a whole lot to get excited about. The best game, in my opinion, is Alabama versus Vanderbilt. Other than that, you got Miami versus Florida State. That's the late game. I don't know how exciting that is for people, but, I mean, you got two ACZ teams going head-to-head, so maybe you feel good about it. But other than that, Notre Dame's playing Boise State. Penn State is playing UCLA. Ohio State playing Minnesota. A&M playing Mississippi State. Illinois playing Purdue.
Oh, that's a great – that might be the best game of the weekend.
You know what? God, I hope not.
There's a trophy involved.
Yeah, that makes those that exciting. And then you got Texas versus Florida. And sorry, Gator, I'm not really going to be locked into the Gators versus the Longhorns. It's not a great weekend for college football. But you always ask yourself, is there anything I can learn from this weekend? And honestly, T-Bone, for me, I think the only thing I'm going to learn from this weekend is bad, not good. Like, I look around and see, like, okay, Ohio State beats Minnesota. Does that tell me they're the best team in college football? No, but they're going to keep that way. The Florida State beats Miami. That's going to be an upset, but I also would look at this and say, yeah, but I still think Miami's the better team. Even in Vanderbilt and Alabama, it sets up stakes for later in the season for Mizzou, but Vanderbilt moves up a little bit. Alabama moves down a little bit. It doesn't really do much in terms of the rankings moving forward. So I don't know about you, but I think the only way I look at this is if we start to see a lot of upsets, it's going to tell me more about where the rankings are at in certain conferences of if this team is great or not versus any of these teams win. And it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it as well, because like I think the only thing you can really learn from like Texas is the one that I would circle as like a ranked team versus a non-ranked team and say, boy, I don't know if intrigue's the right word because I think it could be an ugly football game, but I think it's the one that I really circle and say, okay, I think we are going to learn a lot about this team. And the reason I say that is because the Gators got a pretty good defense. And the reason I bring that up is because I think Arch is terrible. I don't think Arch – he might end up being good next year when he has another year of development because he should not go to the NFL draft. But if Arch doesn't play well against Florida, maybe Texas finds a way to win that football game because their defense is so good and they should be able to stop DJ Lagway. But how am I going to have any confidence of them beating Oklahoma, even though there's a chance Mateer doesn't play? There's also the chance that he does, and if he's back, I don't like their chances. How are they going to beat Vandy, who's a solid football team? How are they going to beat Georgia on the road? How are they going to beat Texas A&M at home?
Right.
So if Arch Manning does not look good against the Florida Gators, I don't think there's much hope for them in the SEC. They'll remain in the top 10 because we know how the AP poll works, but they're the one that I look at and say, okay, we might be able to learn something. Does Arch have another level to him here in SEC play? Are we going to be able to just write them off after this contest? Outside of that, though, I'm kind of with you. I think you look at this weekend and you say, there's just not a lot you can learn unless it's bad. Like, there's some fun matchups in the Big 12 that'll kind of go towards the Big 12 title game, but do we really care about that? They're going to get one team in from the conference. Louisville, Virginia is kind of exciting out of the ACC, but again, like, there's a chance the ACC only sends one team to the college football playoff. The SEC is where the mother load is. Same with the Big Ten, and there's just not a lot of intriguing matchups there this week.
Yeah, we got a couple on the text line. One from the 314 says that I'll learn a lot about Notre Dame. Boise State is a top 40 team, so if Notre Dame can blow them out and play decent defense, then I'd put them back into the contender category. Fair, I guess, but I don't know if I look at Boise State as the tone-setting team for Notre Dame. Like, I still think they're towards the bottom of the standings because of what the beginning of the season looked like. And then the other one that we got says, how can you not learn about Vandy if they beat Alabama? It's Bama. Playoff talk for Vanderbilt. Yes, but like, go through these SEC teams and tell me where Vanderbilt is at. Is Vandy, let's say they beat Alabama. Are they better than Ole Miss?
I would lean no.
Are they better than Oklahoma?
Well,
with Mateer,
no.
Without Mateer, sure, but with Mateer, no. Are they better than A&M?
I don't think so.
they're better than Texas, but I already think we believe that most teams in the SEC are better than Texas. You'd say that they're better than Alabama, but Alabama just took down Georgia.
Yeah, but if you went head-to-head, I can't give them the tiebreaker.
And then you've got Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee still ahead of Vanderbilt.
And I think that is where we can probably say they're in this range.
Sure.
Right?
So you're only jumping up a little bit there, though, if you're Vandy and you beat Alabama.
To be clear, I do think we can learn from the Vandy-Alabama game. I think it's the only one you're really going to learn a lot about this weekend.
And we said that at the
outside
beginning.
of Miami and Florida State, that one is intriguing, the late-night game for the ACC.
Yeah.
But if Florida State loses, they're done, essentially, is what I would look at this as. If Miami loses, okay, the ACC is more open. But if Miami loses, I think it tells you there's probably only one playoff team coming from the ACC.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think there's the argument for Miami, Florida, and then maybe Georgia Tech if they work their way up to that college football playoff. Because at that point, they would go undefeated in ACC play because their schedule's pretty easy. And then they also would potentially beat Georgia at the end of the year as well. So maybe there's a chance for them. There's a lot at stake for the ACC this weekend, but I just don't care about the ACC if we're being out. The ACC and Big Ten, I know they're technically Power 4 conferences. They are a completely different stratosphere when it comes to what the competition looks like in that conference compared to the SEC and even the Big Ten.
Yeah. So let's go down this path then, since we're on talking Vandy and Alabama. What's better for Mizzou overall for the season, if Vanderbilt beats Alabama or if Alabama beats Vanderbilt?
I think I lean if Alabama beats Vanderbilt.
It's kind of where I'm thinking as well.
Because, one, there will be a lot of buzz just even going into the game, which would be nice. But, two, you look at, like, Vanderbilt's schedule that's coming up after this game against Alabama. If they end up losing this game to the Tide, okay, then they have LSU. I think there's a chance they lose that game.
They're at home for that one.
Yeah, and then they're home against Missouri. So if you then beat them, so like you're looking at Vandy as potentially a 3-loss team, and they've still got at Tennessee and at Texas on their schedule, which are no cupcakes.
Yeah.
With Bama, they've beaten Georgia, and I still think Georgia's going to be a very good team and be able to work their way through this conference.
Still think they'll be top 5 in the SEC.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance that there's only one other game on their schedule. If they beat Vanderbilt, that I look and go, okay, they probably won't be favored in, and that would be Oklahoma because Material will be back at that point. I think Alabama's probably better than LSU. I think they're probably better than Tennessee. So it's possible you could end up beating Alabama. That would be the 2-loss team then. I think it's better for Alabama if they end up winning this weekend. And I think it just builds on the excitement for that game just in the moment, right? And I think that is crucial as well.
It's a resume builder. I mean, not saying that Mizzou already, although a lot of people would say Mizzou hasn't really beaten anybody, because even the South Carolina one starting to look a little different, I guess, now because of where they're at. But I mean, one, it's a resume builder to say if you take down Alabama and you look at the schedule of beating Georgia and beating Vanderbilt. But on the flip side of that, if Vanderbilt beats Alabama, it does create a little bit more wide open conversation. And now you'd have to talk about finding a way to beat Alabama and Vanderbilt to get into a playoff conversation. Plus, I think it'd be better for Mizzou, your chances to beat Alabama when you play them in a couple of weeks, if Alabama's fat and happy. After you beat Georgia, you beat Vanderbilt, Alabama's pretty confident in themselves. Might be an opportunity for Mizzou to maybe take down Alabama. So I think it's better to have Alabama beat Vanderbilt because the hype going into that game will be astronomical.
Yeah, and I agree. Chuck texted in and said, if you beat Bama and they lose to Vandy, it's, you didn't beat the real Bama. Yeah. Now, I think there's a chance that still ages that way, but in the moment it won't happen, right? And it'll be another one of those classic, they beat Alabama. Okay, but how good was Alabama really? But I think it's probably true. I think you root for Alabama this weekend. If you're a Tigers fan, I do believe Alabama's going to win. I don't think they're going to sleepwalk again and get beat by the Commodores.
I don't either. As much as the Vanderbilt hype right now, I think Alabama is the better team. And I think you're probably talking about an easy victory there. And maybe Vanderbilt comes back down to earth if you lose to the Tide and then lose to LSU. But sets up for a good week next weekend for the Missouri Tigers. Anything you're excited for in Illinois game? Anything you're watching for?
Not really. I just hope they take care of business because it screams.
You don't want to lose another one?
Yeah, well, it screams a trap game. As I said in the pick'em, I took them, so I think they're going to be fine. But it is a typical trap scenario, right? You mentioned fat and happy coming off of a win. Well, they just beat USC, which saved their season. Next weekend, Ohio State rolls into town. It would be easy for them to say, we can just go into Purdue and take care of business. And I think that's a little what happened in the Indiana game. Oh, we'll just be able to kind of walk in here. We'll be able to hang around and then find a way. And Indiana came out, punched him in the face. And they went, oh my gosh, what do we do? They should take care of business this weekend. For me, it's a fast start. If they let Purdue hang around for a quarter, all of a sudden you're going to be looking at this going, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Alex Ferrario. It's a college football look at the upcoming weekend. Coming up next, we'll stick with football. We'll get into our NFL weekend look ahead here on BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, let's get into our NFL weekend look ahead here on BK and Ferrario, along with Tanner Hendrickson and Graham Francis. I'm Alex Ferrario. Coming up at 15, we'll get to One's Gotta Go. You send us the scenarios. We will tell you which one has to go to our Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. So we already had one game in the books for NFL Week 5, and that was last night. The 49ers taking down T-Bone's Rams, which... honestly, nobody saw that coming. I think the survivor pick that I'm in, or the pool that I'm in, BK's in it as well. 50 teams were kicked out of it last night because they took the Rams. And honestly, I thought about taking the Rams. I am so glad that I didn't.
It should have been an easy win. I'm sorry, America. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I think a lot of people, especially in this part of America, are happy that happened. So that was an incredible game. Hopefully the others hold up to it. T-Bone, what's the best game of the week for week 5?
I'm kind of excited about this week. The records don't show that all these games that I find intriguing are necessarily going to be great, but I think there are a couple. And I think the one that I'm most excited for, mostly because I'm wanting to see if this team bounces back, Commanders at Chargers.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
Because you get Daniels back for the Commanders. McLaurin is still out, but I'm interested to see what he can do still, because as we just saw, Mac Jones can make things happen with borderline NFL players. The Chargers, I'd like to see a bounce back because the first 2 weeks were very impressive. And since then, the last 2 have been kind of off. Had the bad loss to the Giants, which, by the way, called it last week. They were my upset pick.
Yep.
I find this game interesting. I think it might be the best game of the week because I think there's a chance it ends up being a shootout as well.
Yeah, that was one of mine. The other one is the Buccaneers and Seahawks.
That's the other one I thought.
And I know Bucky Irving is hurt. They still have Igbuka and they still have Godwin. And in my opinion, they still have Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield is the reason that team can stay in any fight. Plus, you get the Seahawks. I thought the Seahawks might be the second best team easily in that division. Man, now you got to compete with a 49ers team that's come out of nowhere, the Rams, who are consistently good, and then you got the Seahawks that are floating around there. So NFC West still is potentially one of the better divisions in the NFC, but that's the one where I'm really curious to see how Baker Mayfield handles that without Bucky Irving. So that's, at least my opinion, the best game of the week. But other than that, I mean, Patriots and Bills will be fun. Texans and Ravens, I think, is just more so intrigue of what the Ravens look like. Are Colts and Raiders the third most exciting game this week? Because what
was the other one you said?
The Texans and Ravens, or the Patriots and Bills.
The other games that I find interesting, Broncos Eagles, because the Broncos
see
defense.
What it is.
Yeah, and the Eagles offense hadn't looked good.
Yeah.
And the Broncos defense, I think, is still a decent unit. We'll find out a little bit more. And then I think the Sunday night game is intriguing.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that a little bit here in a second.
Okay, so let's go to the upset of the week.
Okay, I'm going to Sunday Night Football.
All right, there it is.
I'm going the Patriots go on the road and beat the Buffalo Bills. And I can hear everybody's jaw dropping right now in their car.
You heard it?
Yeah, I did. The Patriots are interesting because they lost to the Raiders and the Steelers. A lot of people are looking at them going, 2-2. They've only beaten the Dolphins and they've only beaten the Panthers. But I look at their defense. They've only given up more than 21 points once in their 4 games this year. I think they cause a little bit of havoc on Josh Allen. I think they sleep a little bit on this game thinking, we can roll through the Patriots. And I think they're going to be surprised this week. I think you're going to see Mike Vrabel get the Patriots fired up, and we might be talking about them on Monday as well. Oh, wow, they're 3-2. Give me New England on Sunday Night Football.
I like that one. I'm going to Sunday morning football, and it's my 3-point play. The upsets, the Browns beat the Vikings. Like BK said, it's changed, but this morning when I looked at it, it was plus 4.5. So I don't know what shifted on that, but the Browns, I'm going to go off of that 4.5 underdog here. I think they win this one easily. I don't think Carson Wentz and that offense is going to be able to go out there and dominate like they did 2 weeks ago. I think Myles Garrett is going to make the Vikings offensive line and Carson Wentz life a living hell. And we saw it with Jackson Dart. Teams get that new quarterback bump. And now that they're going to Gabriel, I just think he's going to go out there and have a night, or a day, I guess I should say, against the Vikings and that Brian Flores defense. So I think the Browns win that one straight up. What's the matchup of the week in terms of offense versus defense, single players versus other sides of the field?
So I mentioned one of the games or you picked it as well. Seahawks-Bucks is going to be a fun game this weekend. I am fascinated to see how Baker Mayfield goes up against the Seahawks defense. That is legitimately really good.
Yeah.
The Seahawks defense is awesome, and he's going to be doing this without his wide receivers in Mike Evans. He's without his running back in Bucky Irving. As we know, Ibuka is a little beat up.
A little.
I am interested to see if the Buccaneers offense, which is the identity of their team, they are offense first. Can they continue to do this against the Seahawks? Because if they can, I'm going to be looking at them a little bit differently. I'm not going to just say, oh, well, they're an NFC South team. They get in because the division stinks. I might be looking at them going, oh, okay, they might be able to make some noise when we get to the playoffs in the NFC, which feels like an open field as we were discussing earlier. I am excited to see what Baker does against the Seattle Seahawks.
Mine's Jaden Daniels against the Chargers. Daniels is coming back. I still believe that McLaren's not playing in this game. But look, Jaden Daniels is not 100% because he's been out for a couple of weeks. What do you look like? Because the Commanders, Marcus Mariota, I guess if you want to say it, they did their job. They stayed close. They stayed at 500 while Daniels was out. You're going up against a really good defense, and you're on the road in L.A. Like, this is the way for you to make some hay, because I don't believe in the Cowboys, but the Cowboys offense is real, and they're taking on the Jets. They go 2-2. You go to 2-3 with a loss against the Chargers. The NFC East is a lot more interesting. So Jaden Daniels, can you make magic like we saw last year against an elite defense without your number one receiver? So that's the matchup that I'm kind of most interested in terms of individual player. And then the last one, out of these games, T-Bone, because these are the ones we've kind of pinpointed.
So like your toss-ups.
Yeah, as the ones that are 50-50, these are the ones where it's like less than the 3-point line. Let's go through these. Who do you like in these games? Buccaneers at Seahawks.
So I mentioned I'm interested by Mayfield's performance. I think he's going to play well. That's why I had this as my matchup of the week. I don't think he gets the job done still, though. I think you see the Seahawks win. I don't think they cover, though. This line's at 4.5. I like the Bucs plus the 4.5 points. I think this one's going to come down to a last-second field goal. Give me the Seahawks.
I'm going with the Bucs here. For some reason, man, Baker Mayfield just continues to find a way. I don't think it's going to look pretty without Bucky Irving, but I think Rachaad White can fill in for the temporary, but that offense just continues to thrive through Baker Mayfield. Commanders or Chargers? I just mentioned it. I think the Chargers win this one.
I do, too. I think they're going to bounce back from an offensive perspective.
Yep.
And I know they're dealing with injuries. I think they're going to be better. And I just don't know if Daniels is going to be able to put up the numbers we think, because it looks like McLaurin's going to be out.
Yeah.
And the Commanders' defense is old.
Commanders' defense is not very good. I thought it was going to be better. It has not been. There's been times where I just have questioned Dan Quinn's decisions. But, I mean, even with Jaden Daniels, man, you got to have some type of receiver. Deebo Samuel is not it. And you can't do it yourself if you're Jaden Daniels, especially coming off of an injury, which tells you he's not going to be as mobile as he's been in the past. So we both have the Chargers in this one. Texans at Ravens.
And I think, if I remember correctly, this was one of BK's
pickups. It was his 1 point. I like the Ravens at this one.
I do, too.
As much as BK thinks that the Ravens are depleted, and look, they're missing Hamilton, Matabuke, on top of Lamar Jackson. They still have Derrick Henry, and they still have a coach, in my opinion, that is a smart coach. I think this offense is still going to be fine. It's not going to be great. It's going to be fine. The defense is what I'm curious about. I think this one's going to be a shootout, and I think the Ravens win.
Yeah, I think this could be potentially a little bit of an overreaction game come Monday, because I think the Ravens defense is going to look better this weekend, and it's not anything that the Ravens are.
Yeah.
It's what the Texans are.
It's what the Texans are.
And I agree with you. I think they're going to give the ball to Derrick Henry. They're going to let their stallion be free and let him roam the countryside as he goes running through the Texans. I think Henry has a huge game this week, and I think the Ravens beat the Texans.
2 touchdowns, 145 rushing yards.
I'm in on that.
How about that one for you? Throw that one out. All right, 2 more to get to before we break and get to one's got to go. Broncos at Eagles.
I'm going Broncos.
I'm going Eagles.
I just don't trust the Eagles. And I think they're going to try and go to the passing game this week to try and keep A.J. Brown happy. I don't know if it works, though. That's my thing, is I think they're just not a great passing football team. I think they're going to overcomplicate this because A.J. Brown's having a tantrum right now.
Yeah, his undies are all up in a bunch.
Yeah, I think Broncos win. I think we're going to see the 2 undefeated teams go down this weekend.
Wow. I like the Eagles in this one. I really like the under. It's 43.5. Take the under. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game because both the offense for the Denver Broncos, in my opinion, isn't that great. And I think Bo Pix is going to show up like he does every single week. And I agree with you. I think the Eagles are going to try and throw the ball a little bit more, but they're going to resort back to work's best. And I think Jalen Hurts and Saquon have a second half as to why they go out on top. I'm just not sold on this Broncos team. I know their defense is elite. I don't like their offense. I don't like Bo Pix. None of the playmakers I thought that were going to emerge have emerged. I think the Broncos are a 500 team at best. So I think the Eagles win this one. And then finally, you got Patriots at Bills.
Yeah, and I said Patriots are my upset pick of the week. I think they get it done.
Yeah, at some point, like the Bills started to show cracks last week against the Saints, and I was worried because I used them as my survivor pick. I'm kind of glad I got the Bills out of the way of my survivor play because this is the time where it starts to like, ooh, what's going on here? I'll say this, though. I don't know how the Patriots stop James Cook because James Cook has been elite lately. I know the Patriots have Mike Vrabel. It's that defensive mindset. I think the Bills win this one, but I do think it's a lot closer than people will give it credit for. So those are our weekend look ahead in the NFL. As you know, in BK and Ferrario, you could fade those as well and probably come out on top. He's Tanner Hendrickson, Graham Francis back in our studios. I'm Alex Ferrario. In 15, we'll rewind it, but coming up next, you send us 3 scenarios. We'll tell you which one has to go. One's got to go here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. As new Missouri customers can download that DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Grant Francis here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues throttled the Ottawa Senators last night by a final of 7-1 as they pick up their first win in preseason play. They'll close down the preseason action tomorrow in Chicago as they take on the Blackhawks. It'll be a 5 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock puck drop right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. Tonight on 101 ESPN, you can listen to some college football action. BYU going up against West Virginia. Pregame at 9, kickoff at 9:30 here on 101 ESPN. I'm Grant Francis. This Sports Center update's been driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. This is BK and Ferrario. Time now for One's Gotta Go. We offer up the talking points, and you get to pick which one's gotta go on 101 ESPN.
Count that big pen.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Our YouTube chat at 101 ESPN SDL. That's where the graveyard is at, where you can send us your scenarios. 3 of them. We'll tell you which one has to go. Along with Tanner Hendrickson and Grant Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. We'll start here from the 314. One's got to go. Curly fries, waffle fries, shoestring fries, or sweet potato fries. I'm assuming the shoestring fries are like the ones at Steak and Shake, or the real skinny ones. I would imagine like the McDonald's ones. I think that's where this at.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's easy for me too.
Thin and crispy kind of.
This one's easy. Let's say it at the same time. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Waffle
fries.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
What? A waffle fry?
I love me a good sweet potato fry. A waffle fry is not a fry. A waffle fry is a slice of a potato with edges on it.
Okay.
That's
but
not a fry.
It holds my condiments.
But so does curly fries. So does sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato fries are disgusting.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? You got to put sea salt on those sweet potato fries. You make them thin enough so they're crispy. Oh man, I love me a good sweet potato fry.
I can't stand sweet potato.
You know when sweet potato fries are the best? When you put them on like a deli sandwich. You get like a turkey and ham sandwich, and you just stack some sweet potato fries on top of
sandwich?
It. Oh man, it's so good.
I couldn't. My grandma loves sweet potatoes, so I used to eat them all the time when I lived with my grandparents. Not a fan. Just not a fan. I just don't want it sweet. I'm not big on super sweet things. I can't stand it.
I'm a weirdo too. Like I like sweet potato fries. I don't like sweet potatoes.
What?
Yeah, I don't like sweet potatoes. Like, you know when they make them for Thanksgiving and they put like marshmallows on it? That's nasty to me. I like sweet potato fries, or I like little cut up sweet potatoes with seasoning on it.
Cinnamon was the big thing. I think that my mom likes on sweet potato fries, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, no, yeah, I got to have salty with my fries. I can't go sweet there. For the 314, one's got to go shopping for clothes, online, in person, thrift store, or yard sale.
Yard sale.
Yard sale.
There's something about knowing it was somebody else.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like to each is his own. Like, hey man, if you have to shop at yard sales, by all means, like I get it. But yeah, that's just something that's weird in me. Like a thrift store and yard sales are different, or they're the same because essentially you're wearing somebody's clothes. It's weird going to buy the clothes from somebody's house.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they're staring at you when you purchase it. Like, have you ever had that at a garage sale where like
I got to negotiate with them too?
Yeah, you're haggling with it.
It's not $7.
But then like you're buying it, and then the person's like, "Oh, that was my favorite sweater," and I'm like,
"Do you want it back?"
Yeah, I feel bad buying this from you.
Get that one the hell out of here.
Yard sales are odd, man.
Those were a big thing back in my hometown.
Were they?
We did it all the time.
God, when I was growing up, it was always like garage sales every weekend, and it's like, this is so weird. I'm watching all of my stuff get sold by my parents.
I remember being frustrated, especially when I'm like, I didn't put that in the sale, and my mom's like, you're getting rid of it.
My wrestling figurines and my Pokemon cards. It's like, man, that would have been worth something today. Yeah, you just had to sell them. From Intimidator on our YouTube chat, one's got to go. Erratic highway drivers, super slow drivers, or road rage drivers.
Road rage, that's easy.
I feel like
just because who knows what they're going to do.
I feel like super slow drivers creates the other two, though. Like if everybody would just drive the speed limit and follow the rules of the road, you're not going to get erratic people on the highway, and you're not going to get road rage drivers.
There still would be road rage drivers. I don't know, like, what the situation, like, they get cut off, for example. Like, you don't see it because they're in your blind spot.
Yeah, people get pretty mad there. Yeah, I can see that one. Look, I fall into the camp of all of those right now. So one's got to go.
You are a erratic
driver. Yeah, T-Bone doesn't like me. I don't like 2-lane highways because
my stomach's unsettled thinking about the trip to Nashville again.
I don't like 2-lane highways because people don't drive the speed limit. They go slow, or the people that just stay behind a semi truck as it just drives. It's like, go around the semi truck. The semi truck is supposed to be
around the person that's going behind the semi truck.
I do, but then I get called erratic when I'm weaving in and out of people. I like my open road.
Felt like we were like, I don't remember, one of the old racing games where just constantly swinging through lanes.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong there, but I like to get places.
My stomach.
One's got to go for the 636. Contracts that seemed like a good idea at the time. Ryan Tannehill, Kirill Kaprizov, Nico Mikkola, Torrey Krug.
What was Mikkola?
Mikkola just signed his. It's like, what was it? It's $5 million AAV. I don't remember what the years were on it. Let me pull it up.
I don't think I've ever looked at a Mikkola contract and went, that's a bad deal.
3, 4. So he signed until 2034 for $5 million. So what is that? That's the next 9 years. Is that right? No.
What? No.
2033. Okay, so 8-year contract, $5 million. He's going to be 37 at the end of it.
Actually, I don't think that's like a bad deal at all.
I mean, like, it just depends on. It depends.
It's $5 million in like 4 years. It'll be like a third pair defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's just not a whole lot of upside for Nico Mikkola. Here's my concern with the Mikkola one. The amount of the style he plays and the amount of minutes, the wear and tear will seriously pick up, and I don't know if he can continue that. But Kaprizov, I don't think they're going to regret that. The biggest thing with Kaprizov is, are you going to be able to keep a winner around? Like, are you going to be able to keep a winning roster around him for $17 million? The Torrey Krug one, I think at the time it made sense. You needed offense. He just didn't live up to it. What was the Tannehill contract?
I don't remember. I think it was like a 3-year, really bloated contract that the Titans signed him to. I think the one for me would actually be Krug. Because Tannehill, like, it's the most important position in the sports. Like, we see this all the time, right? Teams go with, do I go with this mid-level quarterback or do I go to the great unknown? Because it could be we end up being worse than what we were. So I can get how you convince yourself. Kaprizov's a stud to where, like, look, I get the conversation of, like, can you build a winner around a guy that makes this much money? I don't care. That guy's still good. It's hard to replace that guy with, like, 3 players. The reason I say the Krug one was, so you brought him into, essentially, it looked optics-wise that he was replacing Pietrangelo, which was not a good start from the very beginning. And if we're just being honest, the Blues tried to weave while everybody else was trying to just kind of stick with the same old. I guess they weren't. They thought the league was going towards these puck-moving defensemen.
Smaller guys.
And as we quickly learned, those guys get shoved around, Keep it simple, stupid. Stick with size.
Well,
so I would say that that's the one that I think at the time you could have seen how it would age poorly. Now that you look back on it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the answer because, like, I'm looking at it with Ryan Tannehill. He signed the 4-year contract extension after the 2020 season where he had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And he's, what was he at that age? He was like 31 years old or something?
Yeah, like, I would do that again.
I would have signed that as well. The problem with Tennessee was they moved on from H.A. Brown and they moved on from Derrick Henry. So I think it's the Torrey Krug one. You were hoping to get what Torrey Krug did in Boston. The problem with that was Torrey Krug was hard to match what he did in Boston because the Blues didn't have a Pasternak, a Patrice Bergeron, all of those options that made him such a dynamic player on the power play. At 5-on-5, you knew what you were getting, and it's hard to live up to that one. Let's do this final one from the 314. One's got to go. Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, or Aaron Rodgers for their team, I'm assuming.
So I would not give her to Daniel Jones because Indiana Jones looks like he's going to work in that system.
I think it's Justin Fields.
I think so, too.
Like, if I have DK Metcalf, I want a quarterback that can at least throw the football. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but he and Metcalf are working. If I'm the Jets, like, as much as I like Justin Fields' ability to scramble and run and pick up first downs, like, I have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall for a reason. I need somebody who can target those guys. So I think I'd get rid of Justin Fields there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And, like, Rodgers, he's old. Like, if you were doing, like, for the next 3 years, it's obviously Rodgers because he may not be able to walk in 3 years. But, like, with Justin Fields, the reason that I kind of, like, was like, okay, maybe they could make this work with the Jets it was, okay, they're going to kind of adapt the offense to him. Well, the problem is when you look at Justin Fields, they're afraid to adopt the offense around him because he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So they don't really give him the ball to carry. Like in the game recently, like 7 carries for 81 yards. I think only like 4 of those carries were design runs, which to me you have to do with him as your quarterback. He's not a good passer, so he limits what you can do with Wilson, as you said. I'm with you. I think it's Justin Fields.
Yep, I think that's the one on this. Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Alex Ferrario. Appreciate everybody texting in for One's Got to Go. We'll rewind it next as we wrap up BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Underdog. You know football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action, but so is baseball. The NLDS and ALDS pick up tomorrow night, which means I'm putting my entry in. I've got 6 picks for you, and you could select your entries and win money right now in Missouri. I'm going lower on strikeouts for Freddie Peralta, higher on hits, runs, and RBIs for Aaron Judge, lower on home runs for Schwarber, higher on hits, runs, and RBIs for Mookie Betts, lower on hits, runs, and RBIs for Cal Raleigh. I put all of those together, and it's 17-1 payout over on Underdog.
Playing on Underdog is super easy. Choose whether your favorite players are going higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and so much more. Get your entries correct, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. All you have to do, download the app today. Sign up using the promo code BKO. You can score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's download the Underdog app and use our promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older, present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See assets at underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or to visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with the Daily Rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Tanner Hendrickson and Graham Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. Hey, we've got your chance now to win free tickets to see 9 Inch Nails on February 25th at Enterprise Center. Tickets for 9 Inch Nails go on sale this Wednesday, October 8th at noon, but we've already got your chance to win free tickets to the show before you can even buy them. So now you need to text in the 314-399-9646 on the Air Comfort Service text line. If you were Texter 101 and can tell me the concert that we talked about at Junk Drawer that I thought I had backstage passes to, tell me the band that I was seeing, and your Texter 101 to our Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. You will be the winner of the tickets to see 9 Inch Nails. And find all the ticket details and a bonus shot to score free tickets for 9 Inch Nails right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app, which is powered by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. And if you missed anything from the show today, you can check it out on our podcast page afterwards. You can check it out there, which is brought to you by Schaefer Door Company. Also over on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL, our studio cams brought to you by Air Alliance Team. Over on the YouTube page, you, of course, can find our show from today, shows this past week, but also the Redbird Report with T-Bone and BK, and an episode of the Last Minute Blues podcast. So all of those up at our 101 ESPN YouTube channel. T-Bone, let's rewind it and just kind of hit through all of the stuff that we have going into the weekend. Let's start where we started the show today, and that's the Blues winning last night against the Senators 7-1. Sure, they won. It's great. Wasn't the stacked lineup you would expect against the Ottawa Senators. They've got one more preseason game tomorrow night against the Blackhawks. But more importantly, last night showed you the sign of potential of what the Blues defense at least could be. I said earlier in the show, I think 3 defensemen could get 40 or more points this season, and I stand by it because this offense from the defensemen, it seems like it could be special this year.
Yeah, and Broberg's a guy that gets me super excited. He's got 3 goals in the preseason so far, and 2 of the 3 have been really nice. I look at him and I go, okay, what does his offense look like? Does it have another level to it? He was very good last year, dealt the injury. You heard Mike McKenna, who joined us earlier in the show today, say he looked a little hesitant coming off of the injury. I agree with that. If he's able to put together a full season, I'm excited to see what his offense can be because he's the one, as long as you don't have regression, because I think Parayko Fowler could potentially be regression candidates. If you don't have regression, Broberg's the guy that allows the defensive core to get to what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, and then you got the roster decisions that are looming. Matt DeFrank's put this out a little bit ago. The final rosters are due on Monday, which means you'll see some guys go through waivers if they decide to put guys through waivers, probably over the weekend on Sunday, possibly on Monday. T-Bone, as it stands right now, before we talk on Monday, who do you think is on this roster for opening night?
I think you're going to see Lucic and Joseph get those extra forward roles as 13th and 14th. I don't have a good feel on the 7th defenseman. I'll go Kessel just because I think they'll stick with some familiarity. But I'm not 100. Like, that's the one that I really don't feel confident in saying.
Yeah, and look, I could still see Texier making this roster. I mean, it's just the roster management. You don't want to take a chance of losing them through waivers. Maybe you sign Lucic to a amateur tryout or another PTO and just continue to kind of kick that can down the road. But me personally, I think you're going to see Joseph and Lucic as the extra forwards. And then I think you're also going to see Matt Kessel, just because I think Hunter Skinner's one that you can sneak through waivers rather than Kessel, who does have NHL experience. Over on Major League Baseball playoff side, we now have the NLDS matchups. Nothing tonight, but all 4 games are in action tomorrow. Let's go through these individually, T-Bone. Milwaukee and Chicago, best of 5. Who do you got in that one?
I've got the Cubs winning that series in 4 games.
Really? So no trust in the superstar that is Christian Yelich.
I just think the Cubs are deeper with their offense, and the Brewers' pitching has faltered a little bit here of late.
Yeah.
And I don't trust their offense around Yelich. I mean, he's a stud, as we know.
I think this is the year Milwaukee gets it done. I think Milwaukee wins this one in 5. Yankees and Blue Jays.
I'm going Yankees in 4. I know the Blue Jays are the ones. I don't trust the Blue Jays at all, and maybe I'm just wrong on them. I think the Yankees win that series.
Yeah, I think the Yankees win it in 5. I think Toronto at least pushes them, but Yankees, now that we've seen Schlittler come out of nowhere and be a legit pitcher for them, I think the Yankees win that one in 5. Dodgers and Phillies.
I'm going to go Dodgers in 5.
That's where I'm at as well. Dodgers in 5.
I just think their starting staff is going to shut down the Phillies.
Yeah,
I don't trust their bullpen, but I think their starting staff is going to be awesome.
I just don't trust the Phillies to get the big hits when they need it, and I think the Dodgers will, especially if Mookie Betts turns it on. And then you got Detroit and Seattle.
Bring out my broom because I'm going Seattle sweep.
I'm with you there. I think the one game that they have a chance to win is Tarek Skubal's start, but to me that doesn't matter because Seattle's just got offense that I think is going to pound. Plus, I don't think Detroit's going to be able to hit Logan Gilbert and multiple of their guys in their rotation.
Things are a little easier now. What would be your World Series prediction right now?
It would still be Dodgers, and I think I would go Dodgers and Mariners. I'm going to stick with that.
That's what I've got. I've got Mariners getting to the World Series, and I think it'll be Dodgers who will get over the Cubs.
The one that I think could make some noise is maybe the Yankees. If the Yankees beat Toronto, maybe they get some adrenaline from it. Maybe the Yankees get to the World Series.
I'll say this. If their bullpen kind of can settle in, man, their top 3 look awesome, as we saw with Schlittler last night on top of Rodon and Fried.
Yeah.
Whew, boy, and that offense looks kind of balanced. They might be the one that could sneak through as well.
You get Stanton rolling. You get Stanton, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, or a Judge. It's good for. It's good 4 to have on top of those. College football side, we talked about it. Not a whole lot going on this weekend, but the games that do at least matter somewhat. You got Miami and Florida State, which is the big one later on in the evening, but also Vandy and Alabama. That one is going to really set up what Mizzou's going to be looking at going into next week. Either Alabama falters and it doesn't look like that big of a win, or you got a juggernaut top 10 team Alabama coming to Mizzou.
Yeah, I like Bama in this one. I think they're going to get their revenge against Vandy, and then they will roll into Missouri to take on the Tigers.
And then you got the NFL Week 5 continues. It starts early on Sunday where you've got the game played out in London. You got the Browns taking on the Vikings. That was part of my pick'em. If you want to hear our entire pick'em and follow along, you can check that out on our podcast page, 101 ESPN STL or 101ESPN.com. Well, I'll be back with you tomorrow night for Blues and Blackhawks, the preseason finale. That pregame starts at 5, puck drop at 6. We will be back with you on Monday for BK and Ferrario at 11. Appreciate Grant Francis taking care of us as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy it with the family and friends. We'll talk to you on Monday. The Fast Lane's next here on 101 ESPN.